So there I was, sitting on the world's most uncomfortable iron chair, pretending to be a big-shot prince while my butler Tristan was losing his mind. Your Highness, the refugees are about to riot. We need to run. Yeah, cool story, bro. Except if I run back to the capital, my lovely new stepmom, who definitely gives poison in your soup vibes, would probably make me disappear faster than my last bag of chips on a Friday night. See, here's the thing nobody warned me about. 1 second I'm chilling at home playing Minecraft, next second, boom, lightning, black screen, and suddenly I'm the 6th prince of the Dawn Kingdom. Leeway Charles, a guy whose biggest life achievement was being really good at partying. But plot twist, I brought Minecraft with me. Like, for real. I've got the health bar, the hunger bar, the inventory, the whole package. I am basically Steve wearing a prince costume. I could punch trees, craft stuff, and probably survive swimming in lava. Not that I want to test that one yet. So my genius dad, the king, decided to play his own little reality show. Hey kids, I'm giving each of you a random piece of land. Whoever makes it the best in 5 years gets the throne. Some of my siblings got big fat cities with economies already rolling. Me? I got Winterfrost Town. Population, depressed. Economy, what economy? Bonus feature, monster hordes attack every season like clockwork. Thanks, Dad. Really feeling the love. Oh, and it gets better. A monster wave just destroyed a town 100 kilometers away, and now 1,000 refugees showed up at my door asking for food. My town can't even feed itself. We couldn't even pay our taxes this year. But sure, let me just pull a miracle out of my inventory. Which, actually, I can. My brain started doing that beautiful Minecraft math. Bones make bone meal. Bone meal speed grows potatoes. Coal bakes potatoes in furnaces. Furnaces need cobblestone. Cobblestone needs a pickaxe. Pickaxe needs wood. Everything starts with punching trees. I stood up from that torture device they call a chair and looked out the window at the mansion's garden. There they were, dozens of fancy, expensive, stays green even in winter decorative pine trees. Each one worth a regular family's yearly income. I grinned like a maniac. To get rich, first you punch trees. Those pretty pines had no idea what was coming. Time to punch some trees. Like a real man. A Minecraft man. I walked up to the fanciest pine tree in my garden, looked at my fist, looked at the tree, and thought, this is either going to be awesome or I'm going to the hospital. Do they even have hospitals here? Whatever. I punched it. No pain. 0. My fist went through that trunk like it was made of butter. Steve's body is absolutely broken in the best way possible. I started going full woodpecker mode. Left, right, and within a minute, the entire tree was gone. 7 logs, baby. Beautiful. Oh, and the best part? The top of the tree just floated there, in the sky. No trunk, no support, just vibing in midair like gravity personally decided to take a lunch break. If Isaac Newton existed in this world, he'd be rolling in his grave so hard you could use him as a generator. I crafted planks, made a crafting table, built a wooden pickaxe, and started digging straight down in my backyard. Yes, I know, never dig straight down is rule number 1. But I only went 3 blocks deep before going sideways. I'm reckless, not stupid. That's when my butler Tristan showed up. He walked right into my hole. Just, wham, fell straight down and landed on his but on solid stone. The scream was, honestly, pretty entertaining. Your Highness? Why are you underground, mining rocks? Obviously, he stared at the dirt floating above our heads with the expression of a man whose brain was trying to file a complaint with reality. How is that not collapsing on us? Magic, I said, not even looking up. Then a cobblestone block popped out and shrank to the size of my palm before flying into my inventory. How did that rock just disappear? Magic. I pulled a spare stone pickaxe out of literally nowhere and tossed it to him. Where did that come from? Magic. I watched his face cycle through about 17 emotions in 3 seconds. Confusion, terror, more confusion, and then suddenly this creepy, tearful smile appeared. He looked at me like I was the second coming of Jesus. Turns out he decided I'd been playing dumb my whole life and was secretly a genius mage all along. He started mentally apologizing to my dead mom for ever doubting her son. Buddy, I'm not a hidden genius. I'm a gamer with admin privileges. But sure, think whatever makes you happy. I handed him a pickaxe and told him to start mining. Watching him try was Painful. I was speed mining like a caffeinated squirrel, while this poor old man was swinging like he was trying to swat a fly with a bowling ball. I mined half a stack before he got one block out. And then he couldn't even pick it up properly. The block was palm-sized but apparently still weighed a ton for him. He was red-faced, veins popping, grunting like he was deadlifting at the gym, all for one tiny cube. But then, he placed it down, and it expanded into a full 1 cubic meter block, and the man nearly had a religious experience. Why, Your Highness? I can do magic too? No, Tristan. You placed a block. But you know what? You looked so happy I didn't have the heart to correct you. After mining 256 cobblestone blocks, 4 full stacks for you Minecraft veterans, I stopped and cracked my knuckles. Time to build something beautiful. Something legendary. Something that would make any Minecraft player shed a tear of pride. A 20-meter-long wall of furnaces. To bake potatoes. Back on the surface, I started cranking out furnaces on my crafting table like a madman. 8 cobblestone, boom, furnace. 8 more, boom, another one. Over and over until Tristan looked like he was watching someone perform dark magic at a kitchen counter. Which, honestly, fair. Then I built the wall. Not some boring regular wall. A glorious, beautiful, 60-furnace monument to bake potatoes. 20 meters long, 3 furnaces tall. I slapped those bad boys down in about a minute flat, while Tristan stood there looking like his soul had left his body and was currently filing a complaint with God. He contributed 3 furnaces, by the way. 3 out of 60. But the pride on his face? You'd think he built the Great Wall of China solo. Bless his heart. When the servants showed up with the supply carts, they were not happy. Turns out the old me, the original princely way, was basically the town bully. He once made servants hunt monsters with arrows that had no tips. Just sticks. He sent people to fight magical beasts with sticks. The knights had to bail everyone out before somebody died. So yeah, my reputation was somewhere between total idiot and actively trying to get people killed. The servants were whispering stuff like, "What's this moron up to now?" and "Hope his kids are born without buttholes." Classic workplace banter. I handed out stone hoes and told everyone to start farming. One guy named Pete, clearly the smartest one in the group, stepped forward looking terrified but brave. "Your Highness, it's winter. The ground is frozen solid. You can't grow potatoes in this." Valid point, Pete. Very logical. Very scientific. Unfortunately for science, I have bone meal. While they were planting, I absorbed 5 entire cartloads of beast bones into my inventory. 5 carts worth of bones just, whoosh, gone. Vanished. Tristan nearly swallowed his own tongue. The servants didn't even notice because they were busy digging, but Tristan watched a bone pile the size of a small hill disappear into thin air. I crushed all those bones into bone meal. With my bare hands. Don't ask me how that works because I genuinely have no idea. I just held the bones and my hands went crunch, 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 and suddenly I had 1,280 portions of white powder. Then the magic show began. I walked up to a potato sprout, sprinkled some bone meal, and pop, it sprouted. Second sprinkle, it grew and actually flowered. A tiny purple flower. In the middle of winter. In frozen soil. Third sprinkle, the flower wilted, the leaves turned yellow, and I yanked the whole plant out of the ground. 10 potatoes hanging off the roots. In Minecraft, you get like 1 to 4 potatoes per plant. Here, 10 plus. My math instantly recalculated. Instead of 1,500 potatoes, I was looking at over 5,000. That's enough to feed 1,000 refugees for 3 days. Everyone stood there frozen. Mouths open. Eyes the size of dinner plates. I think one guy forgot to breathe. Pete literally screamed, "Magic?" and then immediately threw himself on the ground apologizing for screaming. Poor guy was having the best and worst day of his life simultaneously. "It's a special alchemical powder," I explained coolly. "I call it growth powder. It accelerates crop maturity regardless of environmental conditions. I mean, it's bone meal. It's literally just crushed up bones. But growth powder sounds way more impressive than I ground up your monster skeletons and sprinkled them on vegetables." Pete turned out to be an absolute legend. Farm family, trained at the capital's Agricultural Association, knew everything about crops. I promoted him to head of potato operations on the spot. His legs gave out, and he dropped to his knees like I'd just proposed marriage. He slapped himself across the face to snap out of it. yelled, "Yes, SIR," comma, and immediately started bossing everyone around like he'd been a manager his whole life. Distributing bone meal, organizing harvesting teams, setting up furnace shifts for baking. The man was born for this. The servants who were cursing my name 20 minutes ago were now working like their lives depended on it. Because turns out, when you show people actual miracles, workplace morale improves dramatically. Who knew? My fancy noble garden, previously used for aristocratic tea parties and looking pretty, was now a full-blown potato factory. Bone meal flying, potatoes popping out of the ground, furnaces roaring, baked potatoes stacking up by the hundreds. I surveyed my beautiful chaos and gave the order. "Tristan, 3 hours. Open the gates. We're feeding those refugees." "Yes, Your Highness." He turned to run off, practically vibrating with excitement. "Oh wait, one more thing." He stopped. "Your Highness." I yawned so wide my jaw cracked. "Bring me a lawn chair first. Your prince is tired." "Listen, I just punched down trees, mined a quarry, built a furnace empire, and revolutionized winter agriculture. A man deserves to supervise from a recliner." Tristan went off to deliver my order to open the gates, and I knew it was going to cause drama. I leaned back in my lawn chair and started mentally counting down. See, the person in charge of the city walls was Isabella Windsor, my distant cousin, knight captain, second-rank warrior. And most importantly, she absolutely hated my guts. And honestly, I couldn't blame her. The old Li Wei was a grade-A psychopath. The dude literally made servants fight ice bears with stickless arrows for fun. When Isabella had to jump in and save everyone, he looked bored, like she ruined his favorite TV show. This guy was treating people's lives like a mobile game he didn't even pay for. So naturally, when Tristan walked up to her and said, "Hey, the prince wants to open the gates and feed the refugees," she reacted exactly how I expected. She exploded. "Are you insane? We don't have food. The refugees will storm the town. People will die." Which, to be fair, was a completely reasonable reaction. If I were her, and someone told me the town idiot wanted to open the gates during a food crisis, I'd also assume it was a murder plot. But Tristan, my beautiful, loyal, slightly traumatized butler, just stood there like a Zen master and said, "It's the prince's orders." He's got it handled. The man had seen floating dirt blocks and disappearing bone mountains. At this point, his faith in me was unshakable. He'd watched me violate the laws of physics 6 times before lunch. Nothing could faze him anymore. Isabella demanded to see me personally. Tristan just smiled that smug little smile and led her to the backyard. Now, picture this from her perspective. She marched into the garden ready to chew me out, fists clenched, jaw tight, full warrior queen energy, and then she saw it. My beautiful potato empire. People everywhere running around like caffeinated ants. Some hauling coal, some planting potatoes, some sprinkling mysterious white powder on crops, some yanking fully grown potatoes out of frozen ground that had no business growing anything. And behind all of it, my magnificent 30-meter furnace wall, roaring with fire, pumping out baked potatoes like a fast food chain from hell. The rage on her face buffered like a bad internet connection. You could literally watch her brain try to process what she was seeing. Anger, confusion, more confusion, system error. Please restart Isabella.exe. And there I was, the director of this beautiful madness, lounging in my lawn chair like I was poolside in Cancun. I stood up when I saw her. And look, I need to be honest here. Isabella Windsor was distracting. Red hair like liquid fire, red eyes that could probably melt steel, tall, elegant, radiating, "I will end you," energy in a way that was unfortunately very attractive. Even in full clunky armor, the woman looked like she walked off a fantasy movie poster. "Down, boy. Focus." Tristan, wearing the smuggest expression I've ever seen on a middle-aged man, casually explained everything. The prince used magic to create a baked potato production line. 30 seconds per batch. Thousands of potatoes in 3 hours. Enough to feed the refugees for weeks. Isabella's eyes went wide. "That's impossible." Oh, she did not just say that. I walked toward her. Slowly, deliberately, closed the gap until we were about a fist apart. I looked straight into those fiery red eyes with the most princely expression I could manage and said, "Are you saying that your prince is a liar?" Total power move. Absolutely unnecessary. Completely dramatic. Did I practice that line in my head while sitting in the lawn chair? Maybe. Was it worth it? 100%. Isabella stared at me like I was a completely different person, which, technically, I was. But she didn't need to know that. She dropped to one knee, not because she wanted to, but because refusing a prince's order is basically treason. Even if that prince has the reputation of a spoiled toddler with a cruelty streak. Your Highness, please take back your order. There's no food. The refugees will destroy everything. Very dramatic. Very passionate. Very wrong. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just stepped aside and let her see. Her eyes followed the whole production line. Planting, sprinkling, growing, harvesting, baking, and I watched her brain short-circuit in real time. She actually lunged at one of my servants and snatched the bone meal right out of his hand. The poor guy nearly had a heart attack. This gorgeous warrior woman just appeared out of nowhere and stole his magic powder like a hawk grabbing a mouse. She rubbed the bone meal between her fingers, staring at the crops growing in seconds, and I could practically hear the Windows error sound playing in her head. "Where did you get this?" she yelled at the servant. The servant, shaking like a wet chihuahua, just pointed at me. The prince gave it to us?" Isabella turned to me. I gave her my best, told you so smile. Time for the grand finale. Tristan handed me a beast bone on cue. Good man, he's learning, and I crushed it into powder with one hand. Then I let the bone meal sprinkle down onto bare dirt at my feet. Flowers bloomed. In winter, on frozen ground. Little splashes of color popping up like the earth itself was applauding. I picked the prettiest red flower, looked at it thoughtfully, and said with maximum swagger, "Imagine that. Flowers in the dead of winter." Now, any more questions? She had 0 questions. She knelt again, fist over her heart, and accepted the order. 3 hours, open the gates, organize the refugees. But here's where I got really clever. I put on my most dramatic face, chin up, 45-degree angle, staring at the sky like a tortured genius in a movie, and dropped the bomb. Also, I believe there's a traitor among your knights. Her eyes went wide. Tristan's eyes went wide. This succession competition. Someone's already making moves against me. I let that sink in. The food shortage. The refugees mysteriously coming to MY town instead of closer ones. The supply convoys that never arrived. All of it screamed sabotage. Did I have proof? Absolutely not. Did I read enough novels to know exactly how this kind of political backstabbing works? You bet I did. 700 Sky Light novels don't lie, people. Then I went full method actor. You really thought a prince with Windsor blood was just a useless playboy? Did you never wonder why I pretended to be worthless? After my mother died, Tristan started crying. Full waterworks. Decades of loyalty validated in one sentence. He was mentally screaming at my dead mom in heaven. Your son is a genius. I told you I'd raise him right. Buddy, you didn't raise me. A gaming addiction and thousands of hours of Minecraft raised me. But I appreciate the enthusiasm. Isabella was more skeptical. She'd seen the oldly way do terrible things, and honestly, those things did not look like acting. But she was willing to watch and judge. Fair enough. Smart woman. Then, because I'm apparently incapable of not being dramatic, I tucked that red flower into her hair. Red flower, red hair, red eyes. She looked like a painting. I patted her shoulder like a wise king sending off his general. Go. I trust you'll handle everything. Smooth? Incredibly smooth. Did she look slightly confused and flustered? Maybe. Was I internally high-fiving myself? Absolutely. Now, the part one didn't know about yet, but would learn soon enough. While I was playing Potato Farmer and Charming Lady Knights, my dear little brother Richard was sitting pretty in Skywinter City, the richest, most developed city in the entire northern border, sipping wine from a bone cup and orchestrating my destruction. He'd sent assassins to stir up the refugees. He'd bribed knights inside MY walls to, accidentally, open the gates during a riot. The whole refugee crisis at my doorstep? Not random. Not bad luck. It was a hit job by my own baby brother. And the cherry on top of this psychopath Sunday? When his fancy bone cup had a tiny scratch on it, he tossed it away and ordered a new one made from freshly captured orc prisoners. Their bones. He wanted a drinking cup made from people bones. This was the guy trying to kill me. A 20-year-old pretty boy with a smile like sunshine and the soul of a serial killer. The Charles family reunion must be an absolute blast. Isabella marched back to the night fortress and dropped the bombshell on her crew. We're opening the gates in 3 hours. You could have heard a pin drop. Then chaos. What? Has she lost her mind? We'll all die. This violates the Night Code. The Night Code? People. Knights love talking about the Night Code. It's like their version of, I'm vegan. They will find a way to mention it in every conversation. Isabella shut them up by slamming her sword on the ground with enough force to make every spine in the room straighten involuntarily. Second-rank knight energy is basically a military grade. Shut up, button. Then she hit them with the guilt trip of the century. Knight honor? What honor? Refugees are dying outside our walls every single day. Freezing. Starving. And we sit here talking about honor while doing absolutely nothing. Every knight in the room suddenly found the floor very interesting. The food problem has been solved. I've seen it with my own eyes. Dead silence. Then what? How? Did food fall from the sky? Basically, yes. But she couldn't exactly explain that her prince was punching trees and speed-growing potatoes with crushed monster bones. So instead, she drew her sword, pointed it at the ceiling, and went full epic mode. I swear on the name of Windsor, what I speak is truth. That shut everyone up instantly. Swearing on your family name is apparently the medieval equivalent of, I'll bet my entire life savings. You don't fake that. Then she added, ice cold. Anyone who questions my orders again can take it up with my sword. Metal. Literally and figuratively. Now here's where my paranoia paid off. Remember when I warned Isabella about traitors? While she was giving her big speech, she spotted a few knights exchanging weird looks. Shifty eyes. Subtle glances. The universal body language of, oh crap, this wasn't in the plan. Called it. 700 Ice-Sky novels, baby. I'm basically a political thriller expert at this point. These moles, planted by my lovely little brother Richard, huddled up afterward, panicking. The plan is falling apart. We can't contact the 7th prince in time. Tell our people outside. We move early. Meanwhile, back at Potato HQ, Pete was giving me the best news I'd heard all day. Your Highness, we've got over 3,000 baked potatoes ready for the refugees. Enough for 2 days. Another 5,000 are in storage. And the production line is still running. Pete was so excited he was practically vibrating. This man had found his calling. He was born to be the CEO of my potato empire, and he didn't even know it yet. Tears in his eyes, hopping from foot to foot. I half expected him to break into a victory dance. Tristan was crying too. Of course he was. The man cries at everything now. We made it. Yeah, buddy, we made it. Where? We? Means, I punched trees and you fell in a hole. Now, I was very careful about one thing. I told everyone my growth powder was limited, that I could only produce enough for about 5,000 kilograms of potatoes per day because of magical energy limitations. Total lie. I could make bone meal until the cows came home, went back out, and came home again. But if people found out I had infinite food production, game over. Every king, prince, duke, and power-hungry psycho on the continent would be sending assassins faster than I could say, baked potato. Political Strategy 101. Look strong enough that nobody messes with you, but not so strong that everyone teams up against you. I want my rivals to think, oh, he's doing well. Not, oh God, he's a threat to the entire world order. Also, and this is the part one didn't tell anyone, I took a casual stroll through the garden to inspect the potato line. Very princely, very dignified. Actually, I was vacuuming up experience orbs. Every single baked potato had generated XP. Thousands of tiny glowing green orbs were just sitting on the ground, completely invisible to everyone else, waiting for me. I walked through them like a kid running through sprinklers. Ding, 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 ding. Level 31. From potatoes, I leveled up 31 times by baking root vegetables. Somewhere in the multiverse, actual Minecraft Steve is weeping with pride. Finally, everything was ready. Dozens of carts loaded with baked potatoes lined up in formation. Pete stood at the front like a general leading his troops into the most delicious battle in history. I climbed up, looked at my little potato army, and gave the order with maximum dramatic flair. My servants, move out. We ride to feed the hungry, and honestly, the servants looked fired up. Like actually inspired. These same guys who were cursing me out this morning were now pumped to go save refugees. Character development. Not for me, for them. I mean, they still probably think I'm weird. But at least now I'm useful weird. We rolled out like a fast food delivery fleet from heaven. Dozens of carts loaded with baked potatoes, rolling through the streets of Winterfrost Town, and the smell. Oh man, the smell was doing more advertising than any billboard ever could. Tristan, ever the professional bootlicker, stood up on the lead cart and bellowed, "Make way. The generous and merciful sixth prince is going to feed the refugees." The townspeople's reaction? Pure, unfiltered disbelief. And honestly, fair. The old Liwei had taxed these people into the ground. Land tax, fertilizer tax, drinking water tax, housing tax, grain tax. I'm surprised he didn't charge them for breathing. Actually, knowing this guy's track record, he probably considered it. Breathing tax. 2 copper per inhale. Exhale is free on Sundays. So when Tristan announced I was being charitable, every single person on the street looked at each other like someone just told them pigs learned to fly. They followed the carts anyway, though. Because even if nobody believed me, everybody loves watching a train wreck. Meanwhile, up on the wall, Isabella was handling my little traitor problem. 4 sneaky knights were creeping along the battlements like the world's worst ninja squad. Isabella appeared behind them like a horror movie villain. Going somewhere, they turned around and nearly soiled their armor. She was dragging their unconscious lookout behind her with one hand like a sack of laundry. "How did you know about us?" they sputtered. The prince figured it out. Impossible. That idiot couldn't figure out how to. They never finished that sentence because Isabella's sword erupted with solid red battle energy, and she cut off the signal guy's hand from across the room. Just whoosh, hand gone. Flag gone. Plan gone. The other 3 knights looked at each other, looked at the hand on the floor, looked at Isabella's glowing sword, and did the bravest thing they could think of. They dropped their weapons and surrendered instantly. 0 hesitation. 0 honor. Just 3 grown men on their knees going, "Please don't remove our limbs." Isabella looked disappointed. Not because they attacked her, because they gave up so pathetically. These were supposed to be knights. Knights. The shame was almost worse than the treason. She had them thrown in the dungeon. I specifically requested they be kept alive for questioning. Always save the tutorial NPCs. They might drop useful loot. I mean, information. Down below, things were getting spicy. Richard's assassins were hiding among the refugees, dressed in rags, pretending to shiver. But their eyes gave them away. Too sharp, too alert, too. I murder people professionally, to pass as starving farmers. Their plan was simple. Cause chaos during food distribution, storm the gates, stab me in the confusion. Classic assassination playbook. Boring but effective. Except I'd already opened the gates on MY terms. With MY Knights controlling the crowd. With Isabella standing next to me radiating, "Try something, I dare you," energy. The assassin captain took one look at Isabella and basically went, "Yeah, no. I'm a second-rank assassin, and she'd still wipe the floor with me in a straight fight. Maybe later, smart man. Evil, but smart." So instead they blended into the refugee crowd and waited. Which meant they had to stand in line for baked potatoes like everyone else. Somewhere out there, professional killers sent by my psycho brother were eating MY charity potatoes. The irony was delicious, pun absolutely intended. The food distribution went beautifully. Knights kept order. Everyone got their share. The refugees were sobbing while eating. Full-on ugly crying into baked potatoes. Some of them had been surviving on grass and dirt for days. An actual hot meal was basically a religious experience for them. It's so good. Sob so good. Sob sob, I'm not going to lie. Watching 1,000 starving people finally eat a warm meal. It hit different. Like, this was real. These weren't NPCs. These were actual human beings who were dying yesterday and eating today because I punched some trees and crushed some bones. I stood on the wall looking down at all of it and just smiled. Tristan turned to hit me with another round of flattery. "Your Highness will surely win the succession," but then he stopped mid-sentence. He was staring at my face. Now, Tristan has been a royal butler for 50 years. He's seen every powerful person smile. Political smiles, greedy smiles, I just conquered a province smiles. He's cataloged them all. But mine was different. I wasn't smiling because this helped my political position. I was smiling because 1,000 people weren't going to die tonight. And apparently, according to Tristan's suddenly watery eyes, I looked exactly like my mother when I did it. the Windsor Queen, a red-haired woman who apparently spent her life trying to help common people before someone killed her for it. Tristan had served her when he was young, a nobody farm worker's kid with big dreams and no opportunities. She'd given him a chance. And now her son, well, the guy wearing her son's face, was standing on the same wall, feeding the hungry, smiling the same smile. I had no idea about any of this backstory, obviously. I just turned to Tristan with my goofiest grin and said, "Hey, old Tristan, I did something pretty awesome today, right?" The old man's nose went red. He laughed twice, way too loud, way too forced, clearly trying not to cry. Then he put his fist over his heart and said, with zero bootlicking for possibly the first time in his career, "Yes, you did, my prince. No flattery. No exaggeration. Just real respect." Next to us, Isabella quietly looked down at the rose and thorn crest on her armor, the Windsor family symbol. Something flickered in those red eyes of hers. Then it was gone. She didn't say a word. But she didn't need to. I think today was the day I stopped being the waste prince, in at least two people's eyes. Not bad for a guy whose biggest qualification is 1,000 hours of Minecraft. News travels fast in a small town. Within an hour, half the population, over 2,000 people, showed up at the town square to watch me feed refugees. Winter entertainment options are limited, apparently. No Netflix, no TikTok. Just, let's go watch the idiot prince do something weird. Their reactions were gold. Is he actually doing something good? Must be possessed by a demon. Oh dear God. If it is a demon, I hope it stays. That's right. My reputation was so bad that people would literally prefer demonic possession over the real me. The old Li Wei had taxed these people on everything. Land tax, water tax, fertilizer tax, grain tax, housing tax. I'm genuinely shocked he never invented a looking at the sky tax. These people had every right to hate my guts. Their biggest fear? That I'd confiscate their food to feed the refugees. Which, classic old Li Wei move, honestly. The townsfolk's attitude was basically, do we want to help the refugees? Sure. Do we want to use our food? Well, when you put it that way, those refugees aren't really our problem, are they? Blame the monsters, not us, humanity. Beautiful. Consistent across every universe. But I had bigger problems to deal with. Isabella had caught the traitor knights, and now it was interrogation time. The dungeon was actually not that bad. I was expecting dripping water, rats, chains rattling, the whole horror movie package. But it was just cold and dry. Turns out when your town is below freezing 24/7, even your dungeon can't manage to be properly damp. Even the moisture gave up on this place. For big meaty knights were tied up inside, and the interrogator looked like he was about to have a nervous breakdown. My lord, they won't talk. I've tried everything. Poor guy dropped to his knees expecting me to slap him. Because apparently that's what old Li Wei did. Punish people for failing, even when the task was impossible. Real great management style there. Past me. Really motivating. It's fine. Don't worry about it, I said casually. The interrogator looked at me like I'd grown a second head. Isabella's eyebrows went up half an inch, which, for her, was basically a full-body gasp. Apparently, not being cruel for no reason was groundbreaking behavior for Prince Li Wei. The bar was underground, and the old me still managed to limbo under it. Time for my approach. Physical torture wasn't working. These guys were first-rank knights with skin like leather and pain tolerance through the roof. The interrogator had literally whipped himself tired before they even flinched. So I went psychological. I walked around them in slow circles, classic villain energy, and dropped the legal bomb. As knights who betrayed a prince of the realm, you've committed treason. And under kingdom law, the local lord has full authority to handle traitors however he sees fit. They flinched, but kept quiet. Ready to die? Brave. Stupid, but brave. Then I hit them with the real weapon. Since I'm a merciful person, I won't kill you. Instead, I'll strip your knight status and demote you and your wives and your children to serfs. The room went dead silent. Then absolute pandemonium. No. Please. Kill me instead. Not my family. Please. See, being a serf in this world is basically being a piece of furniture that can cry. You own nothing. You are nothing. You're literally classified as your lord's property. And there's this lovely little tradition where lords can claim a serf girl's wedding night for themselves. It's as disgusting as it sounds. So when I threatened to turn their families into that, These tough guys who laughed at whips crumbled started singing like a choir at Christmas morning. It was the Skywinter Knights. They promised us positions if we helped. We were supposed to signal the people outside, please just let our families live as free citizens. Take everything else. They spilled everything. The whole operation traced back to Skywinter City, my baby brother Richard's territory. The same brother who drinks from cups made of people bones. Family reunions must be a blast. Behind me, Isabella was looking at me with a new kind of expression. Part respect, part, holy crap, this guy is terrifying. She'd finally accepted that Oldly Way was just an act. Though I think my interrogation technique might have been a little too convincing. She went from, maybe he's changed, to, this man could sell ice to a penguin and make the penguin thank him. Here's the thing though, I was never actually going to enslave their families. I think the whole serf system is garbage, and I plan to abolish it entirely once I'm powerful enough. You don't need slaves when you have a system that lets you generate infinite resources by punching rocks. But they didn't need to know that. I sentenced the 4 knights to death. Treason is treason, but ordered their families to be demoted only to commoners, banned from politics and business for 3 generations. The knights literally thanked me through their tears. Your mercy cleanses our dirty souls. Yeah, you're welcome. I just condemned you to death and you're grateful because your kids won't be furniture. This world's moral compass needs a serious recalibration. After the executions, Isabella confirmed what I already suspected. The relief supplies were supposed to come from Skywinter City, the 7th prince's territory. They never arrived. He's almost certainly behind all of this. Richard Charles. My precious little brother. Bone cup enthusiast. Professional backstabber. Currently sitting in the richest city in the north while trying to have me murdered via potato shortage. Well, Richie, your big brother just solved the potato problem. And he's coming for you next. Right after a nap. Interrogations are exhausting. Let me tell you about my little brother Richard. Real charming kid. Beautiful face, looks like a porcelain doll, could probably model for Renaissance paintings. Also a complete psychopath. This boy was killing animals for fun as a child. And when he grew up, he graduated to killing people. His mansion in the capital went through servants like tissues, a few dead every month. Some died because they messed up their job. Others died because Richard was having a bad Tuesday and thought murder might cheer him up. I'm feeling a bit gloomy today. Better kill someone. This is the guy trying to assassinate me. Wonderful. Love that for me. After the interrogation, I stood outside the dungeon thinking about the serf system and how absolutely disgusting it was. Serfs weren't people. They were furniture that could bleed. Their lords owned everything. Their labor, their property, their dignity, even their daughters' wedding nights. If that doesn't make your skin crawl, congratulations, you might be a medieval nobleman. I used the threat of serfdom to crack those traitor knights like eggs, but I was never going to actually do it. In fact, I plan to abolish the entire system once I'm strong enough. Not because I'm some saint. I fully intend to live like a king with all the luxury and companionship that comes with it. But there's a baseline, you know? People should at least get to live like people. Revolutionary concept, apparently. The nobles on Earth didn't get it either. Rich people are the same in every universe. Something weird happened after that, though. Isabella got quiet. Not angry quiet or suspicious quiet, just soft. Like someone flipped a switch inside her. I caught her looking at me differently. Less, I want to stab you, and more, maybe you're not garbage after all. Then she casually dropped. There are definitely assassins hiding among the refugees. Obviously, I said. She blinked. You're not surprised? Surprised? My brother literally thinks the only good sibling is a dead sibling. Of course he sent assassins. She got this haunted look in her eyes. Welcome to royal family dynamics, Isabella. We don't do game nights. We do murder plots. This whole situation made me realize something important. I needed to stop being weak. I had the Minecraft system, sure, but right now I was a builder, not a fighter. There were assassins lurking in my town, and my combat strategy was basically, hope Isabella is nearby. So I made a decision. Isabella, I need you to be my sword training partner. She looked up at me like I'd asked her to teach a goldfish to dance. Your Highness, I'm a second-rank knight. You're a mage. I could literally send you flying with one swing. I'll be fine. Trust me. She clearly did not trust me on this, but she agreed. I could see her mentally planning to use about 2% of her strength so she wouldn't accidentally launch me into orbit. Little does she know about Steve's body. But we'll get to that surprise tomorrow. For now, I had a housing crisis to solve. 1,000 refugees were sitting outside in below-zero weather, and just pitch some tents wasn't going to cut it. People would freeze to death every night. I didn't save them from starvation just to let them become popsicles. Isabella suggested splitting them into townspeople's homes. I shut that down immediately. Historically, that ends with someone getting murdered over bread portions. Hard pass. Then what? She asked, genuinely confused. I smiled my most mysterious smile. I'm going to build them houses. Build? 1,000 people worth of houses. Tristan nearly had an aneurysm. Your Highness, that would take professional builders at least 2 weeks. We don't have time. I pulled a cobblestone block out of my inventory and spun it on my finger like a basketball. What if I told you I have magic construction materials? Then I tossed the block to Isabella. The instant it hit her hand, her arm dipped like I'd thrown her a bowling ball. Why is this so heavy? Her face was priceless. This little palm-sized cube weighed dozens of pounds for her. Meanwhile, I'd been casually flipping it around like a stress ball. I could see the gears turning in her head as she recalculated my physical strength. Just place it on the ground, I said. She touched it to the floor, and boom, full cubic meter of stone appeared out of nowhere. She jumped backward and grabbed her sword. Almost drew it on a rock. The great knight Captain Isabella Windsor, slayer of monsters, nearly attacked a piece of floor. Tristan, who went through the exact same reaction earlier, was standing behind her trying not to laugh. The smugness radiating off that old man could power a small city. I was enjoying this way too much. Scaring pretty night girls with magic rocks is apparently my new hobby. Then a thought hit me. Wait, before I transmigrated, I was 27. But this body is 18. Isabella is in her early 20s. So when I think, cute girl, about her reactions, I'm not being a charming older guy. I'm being a teenage boy trying to act smooth. That realization was deeply uncomfortable, and I immediately decided to never think about it again. Tristan, go find every professional builder in town. I want them to design a refugee camp for 1,000 people. I'll handle the construction materials, because here's what every other lord in this world doesn't understand. Refugees aren't a burden. They're a resource. 1,000 people means 1,000 workers, craftsmen, farmers, soldiers. My psycho brother thought he was drowning me by sending these people here. He just handed me the workforce to turn Winterfrost Town into a city. Thanks, Richie. Best gift ever. The Bone Cup drinking maniac accidentally speed ran MY development arc. After Tristan left, Isabella apologized for nearly attacking a rock. Very professional. I told her not to worry about it. Honestly, watching a trained killer almost draw her sword on a stone cube was the highlight of my week. But I had a point to prove. She still thought sparring with me would be like fighting a paper bag, so I walked up to that cobblestone block, 1 full cubic meter of solid stone reaching up to her waist, and just started punching it. Your Highness, you'll hurt your 10 seconds. That's how long it took me to reduce a cubic meter of rock into gravel with my bare fists. No pain, no scratches, not even a sore knuckle. Just me standing there with a pile of rubble at my feet, and Isabella looking like someone had just divided by 0 in front of her. You punched through solid stone. Yeah? With my hands. Welcome to the Steve experience, baby. She couldn't process it. She could do the same thing, sure, but she was a second-rank knight with years of breathing technique training and battle energy reinforcement. I had no battle energy. No special techniques. Just raw. I'm literally made of blocks, energy that she couldn't even detect. Are you sure you're a mage and not a warrior? You ever seen a warrior turn bones into magic powder? Fair point. Then she asked to test my physical strength properly, using her battle energy. The same energy that earlier today cut a man's hand off through metal armor. Go ahead, I said. She took my hand gently, very polite, very proper, very aristocratic, and started channeling her red battle energy into me. Now, quick sidebar. Isabella's hands were incredibly soft, like baby skin soft. This woman has been swinging swords since she was 10 years old, and her hands felt like she'd never touched anything rougher than silk. Apparently, when knights hit second rank, their body heals so completely that even old calluses and scars disappear. This world's power system has skincare benefits? Best magic system ever. Anyway, she started gentle. The battle energy wrapped around my arm honestly, like a nice massage. Warm, tingly, pleasant. I smiled. She looked at me like I was insane. Does it not hurt? Nope. Feels kinda nice actually. Nice? Apparently. This same energy makes first-rank knights feel like they're carrying hundreds of pounds. Every knight in Winterfrost's order crumbles under Isabella's battle energy test. And I was sitting here basically getting a spa treatment. She cranked it up. More energy. More. I went from gentle massage to deep tissue massage, even more relaxing. She pushed it to her absolute controllable limit. The maximum she could output without risking it going out of control. It felt like a really good back rub. When she finally pulled the energy back, I actually looked disappointed. Ah, it's over already? That was great. The expression on her face was a cocktail of confusion, disbelief, and existential crisis. She'd just hit me with everything she safely could, and I'd enjoyed it like a day SBA. Your physical durability is at second-rank knight level. At least. How? She asked, clearly struggling. I shrugged. Guess I'm just built different, literally. I'm built out of blocks. But she didn't need to know that. After she left the room, still standing guard outside the door like the professional she was, I needed to test something important. Something I'd been wondering about ever since I figured out I had Steve's body. In Minecraft, your character never loses limbs. You take damage, sure, but nothing gets cut off. You're one solid unit until your health hits 0. I pulled out the letter opener from my desk. Fancy little knife. Sharp enough. Deep breath. I sliced my own finger. Pain. Yes, a little sting. My health bar dropped from 20 to 19. But my finger? Completely fine. No cut. No blood. Nothing. And then, within seconds of just breathing normally, my health ticked back up to 20. My hunger bar dipped by half a point. Regeneration through breathing. Just like in the game. Keep your hunger bar full, and you heal automatically. I grabbed a pastry from the desk. Ate it. Hunger bar back to full. Let me spell out what this means. My limbs cannot be severed. I don't bleed. I heal by breathing. As long as nobody one-shots all 20 of my health points at once, I am essentially unkillable. I just need to keep eating snacks, and I regenerate like Wolverine. I am a self-healing, stone-punching, tree-demolishing, potato-farming tank with an infinite inventory and the building speed of a construction crew on fast forward. Is this not completely broken? I whispered to myself, grinning so hard my face hurt. But, reality check, I still fight like a toddler with a pool noodle. Having an indestructible body means nothing if 5 assassins rush me and poke me to death before I can react. Steve can tank hits, but Steve also dies to a bunch of zombies if the player is bad at combat. And I am very bad at combat. So the plan is simple. Stick close to Isabella, my beautiful, terrifying, second-rank knight bodyguard, and learn to actually fight. Once I combine Steve's immortal body with real sword skills, then we're really cooking. But first things first. Tristan was bringing the builders. We had 1,000 refugees who needed houses before they turned into frozen statues. Time to do what Minecraft players do best. Infrastructure speedrun. Let's go. The builders showed up to my office looking like a row of prisoners awaiting sentencing. Can't blame them. My reputation as a boss was somewhere between nightmare and war crime. Their leader, a veteran craftsman named Chris, presented the blueprints for the refugee housing. Very detailed. Very professional. Very depressing. Your Highness, the absolute fastest we can build temporary housing for 1,000 refugees is 3 months. 3 months. And whether that's literally killing people every night. By the time they finished, the refugees would be 1,000 decorative ice sculptures. I held up 3 fingers. 3 days. Chris hit the floor so fast his knees left dents. Impossible. Your Highness, please, we can't. Relax. I have something special. I pulled out a cobblestone block and led everyone to the backyard. Pete was still running potato operations like a 5-star general back there. That man had found his true calling and was never going back. But the potato factory was just the appetizer. Time for the main course. I started placing cobblestone blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, walls going up, roof slapped on, doorway left open. 13 seconds. 1 complete stone house. 3-person capacity. Done. The builders looked like their collective souls had evacuated their bodies. Meanwhile, the assassins hiding among the refugees were having their own little strategy meeting, And honestly, their logic was pretty sound for people who didn't know about my cheat codes. Sure, he solved the food problem, but there's no way he can build houses for 1,000 people. They'll freeze. They'll riot. We wait. Oh, sweet summer assassins. You have no idea what's coming. Isabella, standing behind me, had already jumped ahead to military applications. I could see her brain going, one night. He could build an entire fortress. She was starting to go numb to my miracles at this point. Like, her shock absorbers were just completely blown out. What is that thing in your hand? Chris the Builder was practically hyperventilating. Time for my fake explanation. I lowered my voice to sound like a mysterious alchemist from a fantasy movie. This is my alchemical creation, the cobblestone block. I resonate earth and wind elements to grant stone portable, deployable properties. Complete nonsense. Total gibberish. I made it up on the spot. Everyone nodded like I'd just explained quantum physics. Wow, what a descriptive name. Yeah, I literally just called it what it is. But sure, let's pretend that's impressive naming. I passed a block around. The builders could actually handle the weight. Turns out their builder profession gave them physical buffs for construction work. This world has class bonuses for manual labor. Even the job system here is pay to win. They were cradling that cobblestone block like it was a newborn baby. Faces full of wonder. One guy looked like he was about to cry. These men had spent decades stacking bricks by hand, and I'd just shown them the construction equivalent of replacing a horse with a Ferrari. Chris placed his first block. Boom! Full cubic meter of stone. His face went red with excitement. Within minutes, the whole crew had copied my design and built a matching house. This will change everything, they shouted. Yes, it will. But first, my everything. So, I said, if I give you enough cobblestone blocks, how fast can you build all the refugee housing? Chris's eyes went wide. Then he puffed out his chest with the confidence of a man who'd just been handed a cheat code to his entire career. Your Highness, you underestimate us. If materials aren't a problem, one day, on my guild's honor, his math was beautiful. 10 workers per house, 10 minutes per house, 200 workers, 10 hours, 120 houses, 10 refugees per house. Done. 1,000 people sheltered before the next sunset. I gave them 300 cobblestone blocks to start, told them to get the rest from the quarry the normal way, and sent them off. Chris marched out of my office like a man reborn. He wasn't just building refugee shacks. In his mind, he was pioneering the future of architecture. And those assassins sitting in the cold, smugly waiting for the refugees to freeze and riot? They were about to have the worst surprise of their miserable careers. Before the building started, I took a little field trip to the quarry with Isabella. Originally, I just wanted the workers to use my stone pickaxes to mine cobblestone blocks. But then I touched some of their already mined regular stones and thought, what if I absorbed them into my inventory? They turned into cobblestone blocks automatically. I can convert raw materials just by touching them. My inventory doesn't care what shape or size the stone is. It just goes, beep boop, that's a block now. I absorbed entire mountains of stone stockpile. Years of quarry output, gone in seconds, replaced with neat, organized stacks of cobblestone blocks. The quarry manager watched his entire warehouse vanish and then reappear as perfect cubes, dropped to his knees, and started praying. Just full on, oh God, religious awakening right there on the quarry floor. Isabella, who I thought was getting used to my nonsense by now, was quietly upgrading her estimate of my power level in her head. I could practically see the mental calculator. Second rank? No third. Fourth? He might be a transcendent. She even started wondering if I actually needed her protection. Which, yes, Isabella, I do, because knowing how to absorb rocks doesn't help when someone's stabbing me in my sleep. Different skill sets, people. I also quietly pocketed 5 stacks of iron, or while I was there. Time to upgrade from Stone Age to Iron Age. Swords, armor, shields, the full loadout. A man needs accessories. Back at the refugee camp, Chris the Builder made his big announcement. By order of the most merciful princely way, 100 stone houses will be built within 1 day. The crowd's reaction was, let's call it, spirited skepticism. 1 day? Is he high? 3 months wouldn't be enough? If they finish in 1 day, I'll lick the mud off the prince's boots. Hey look, a flying cow up there. Laughs everywhere. The townspeople thought it was the funniest joke they'd heard all winter. The refugees wanted desperately to believe it, but couldn't. Then the workers started placing blocks. One by one. Click, click, click. Walls rising out of nothing. A complete stone house in 10 minutes. The laughter stopped real fast. My God, that refugee house is sturdier than MY house. Where's the bootlicker guy? Someone find him. Can I apply to live in the refugee camp? The free citizens who'd been paying my ridiculous taxes were now jealous of homeless refugees. The irony was so thick you could build a house out of it. Which, coincidentally, I was already doing. The refugees? Absolute waterworks. Again, these people had been living in shacks made of sticks before they even became refugees. Now they were getting solid stone houses with actual walls and roofs. 10 people per house, sure, but they'd been cramming 7 or 8 into wooden sheds their whole lives anyway. This is real? For US? Chris nodded. The merciful Lord Li Wei invites you to stay. Become citizens of Winterfrost Town. Long live Lord Liwei. Praise the Lord. May the Dawn God bless him. 1,000 people chanting my name. Not gonna lie, that felt pretty incredible for a guy who was playing Minecraft in his pajamas like 48 hours ago. Now, the assassins. Oh, the poor assassins. These guys have been sitting there smugly thinking, sure, he fed them, but he can't build houses. They'll freeze. They'll riot. We wait. Then I built houses. Sure, he fed them and housed them. But, their captain's face went completely dark. Every single crisis he was counting on, starvation, exposure, riots, I'd solve them all before dinner. His entire multi-step assassination plan had been speedrun demolished by a teenager with building blocks. They were stuck inside the refugee camp with night patrols everywhere, surrounded by grateful people who would absolutely rat them out if they tried anything suspicious. Their window was closing fast, so they made the desperate call, tonight. All or nothing. Sneak into the Lord's mansion. Kill me in my sleep. The foot soldiers were nervous, rightfully so. Most of them were first-rank nobodies, and Isabella alone could wipe them out like crumbs off a table. But their captain had an ace up his sleeve. Relax, boys. I've got a third-rank magic scroll. Summons a water elemental. That thing can keep Isabella busy while we handle the prince. 100 gold coins worth of scroll. Originally, he'd planned to save it. You know, for retirement or whatever assassins spend money on. But dead men can't shop, so out it comes. The assassins got fired up. With a third-rank summon distracting Isabella, killing little old me would be easy, right? They were already mentally competing over who'd get to chop my head off first for the bonus reward. Their captain watched them bicker and quietly thought, these greedy idiots. I'll deal with them after the mission. Teamwork makes the dream work, folks. Meanwhile, I was back at the mansion, completely unaware that tonight was going to be very, very interesting. But hey, I had iron ore to smelt, armor to craft, and a sword to forge. Steve doesn't go to bed without his gear. Let's see who surprises who tonight. While the construction crew was speed-running a housing project outside, I was in the backyard doing something equally important, becoming a walking tank. Iron smelting time. I shoved ore into the furnaces and watched the progress bars fill up. When the first iron ingot popped out, perfectly shaped, perfectly pure, perfectly identical to every other ingot, I got a nice little achievement notification. Achievement. Getting an upgrade. The ingots came out of the furnace and arranged themselves in a neat little row. By themselves. Automatically. I'm starting to think there's a tiny butler living inside each furnace. Tristan picked one up, and his eyes nearly fell out of his skull. This is the purest iron I've ever seen in my life. Weapons made from this would cut through steel like butter. Isabella nodded. I've been to the capital. Even the royal blacksmiths don't have iron this pure. Your Highness, Tristan sighed heavily. Exactly how many secrets are you still hiding from us? Oh, buddy, you have no idea. But instead of answering, I just started slapping iron ingots onto my crafting table. Helmet, done. Chestplate, done. Leggings, done. Boots, done. Isabella watched raw metal rearrange itself into finished armor in about 3 seconds and immediately questioned her own reality. She rubbed her eyes. Then she pinched her own face. Hard. Like she was trying to wake up from a dream. Tristan, who'd already seen me craft stone pickaxes, tried to play it cool. It's just his alchemy magic, nothing surprising. But then his neck stretched forward like a giraffe, and his eyes went huge. Even with mental preparation, Watching a full suit of armor materialize from iron bars hits different. A professional blacksmith takes 2 weeks to forge one set of armor. I did it in the time it takes to sneeze. Then I made the iron sword and shield. Iron sword was classic, 2 iron ingots, 1 stick. The shield was wood and iron. Simple recipes, godlike results. Want me to help you put the armor on, Your Highness? Tristan offered. Nah. First, let's break it. I looked at Isabella. Hit the chest plate. Full power. Don't hold back. She hesitated. But this armor is so valuable. If I damage it, if it breaks, I'll make another one in 5 seconds. Go wild. She wrapped her fist in red battle energy, the same energy that cuts through steel and bone, and threw a full power punch at my iron chest plate. The chest plate went flying 10 meters across the garden. Tristan jogged over, picked it up, and froze. There's not a single dent. What? Isabella snatched it from him. She turned it over, examined every inch. Not a scratch, not a mark, not even a scuff. She just hit it with enough force to shatter solid rock, and this thing looked factory new. I was the only one who knew why. My HUD showed. Iron chest plate 239 240ths. 1 durability point lost. And in Minecraft, armor looks completely perfect until the very last durability point breaks. So until someone hits this thing 240 times with second-rank night power, it's going to look brand new every single time. Minecraft durability mechanics are absolutely broken in real life. I love it. Next, sword test. I swung the iron sword at a stone and sliced it clean in half like warm cheese. Tristan, magnificent blade. Isabella, it rivals my own sword. And mine has magical enchantments. An iron sword I crafted in 2 seconds from a stick and 2 metal bars rivals an enchanted knight's weapon. Wait until I get to diamond. Or netherite. These people aren't ready. Now the fun part. The shield. In Minecraft, this janky little wooden shield with an iron trim does something absolutely insane. It blocks 100% of all frontal melee damage and makes you immune to projectiles. It's conceptually broken. A wooden plank that negates everything. Isabella, hold this shield. I'm going to hit you with the iron sword at full strength. She took the shield, but looked at it like I'd handed her a napkin. This thing was mostly wood. She'd just watched my sword cut through solid rock. She was mentally preparing to dodge. I swung. Full power. Iron sword meets wooden shield. Nothing happened. No impact. No vibration. No sound. Isabella didn't even feel it. The sword's unstoppable force just vanished. The shield didn't have a scratch. Her face went through approximately 19 emotions in 2 seconds. That's wood. Your sword cuts stone. How? Tristan was physically holding his own jaw up. I just smiled. Watching these two lose their minds over basic Minecraft game mechanics had become my favorite hobby in this entire world. It never gets old. Every item I pull out is a new existential crisis for them. I collected everything back into my inventory, yawned dramatically, and stretched. All right, I'm tired. That's enough for today. They both looked like they had about 47 follow-up questions, but I was the boss, so they swallowed them all. I headed to bed feeling pretty good about myself. Full iron armor. Iron sword that cuts stone. A shield that blocks everything. Steve body that can't be dismembered. Health that regenerates by breathing. Bring it on, assassins. As darkness fell over the mansion, I had no idea just how soon I'd get to test all of this. Uninvited guests were already on their way. Bedtime. Finally. After the most insane first day of my new life. Building potato empires, interrogating traitors, crafting armor, converting entire quarries into blocks. I was exhausted. Being a medieval prince/Minecraft god is surprisingly tiring. The maids helped me wash up, and I flopped onto my bed like a dead fish. Sweet horizontal position. My kingdom for 8 hours of uninterrupted. I'm staying in your room tonight. I looked over at Isabella, standing in the corner like a fully armored lamp. Hand on sword. Eyes scanning every shadow. Full bodyguard mode. Isabella, I'm going to sleep. You can guard from outside. No. Assassins could strike tonight. I'm not leaving. I stared at her. She stared back. Those rose-red eyes were not negotiating. Fine. Whatever. Having a beautiful night watch me sleep isn't the worst thing that's happened today. Actually, it might be the best thing. But let's not go there. I turned off the magic lamp. Darkness. Silence. Just me and the sound of Isabella breathing in the corner. Nice. Relaxing. Safe. I felt my eyelids getting heavy. Why can't I fall asleep? I was exhausted. My body was screaming for rest. But my brain simply would not shut off. I tossed. I turned. Nothing. Then it hit me like a truck. In Minecraft, you can't sleep when monsters are nearby. The game literally tells you, you cannot rest now, there are monsters nearby. My eyes snapped open in the dark. Oh no, there were hostiles close. The MC sleep mechanic was active, which meant somewhere near this room. People who wanted me dead were creeping around like cockroaches. My sleepiness evaporated instantly. Adrenaline? Maxed. But I didn't jump up. I didn't panic. Instead, lying perfectly still in the dark, I opened my inventory and equipped everything. Iron helmet, iron chest plate, iron leggings, iron boots, iron sword in my right hand, shield in my left, all done silently, instantly, through the magic of inventory management. 1 second I was a guy in pajamas, the next I was a walking fortress under a blanket. My anxiety vanished immediately. Turns out fear is just a fancy word for not enough armor. Slap on a full iron set, and suddenly the dark doesn't seem so scary anymore. Now, here's the beautiful part. The assassins didn't know any of this. They thought they were sneaking up on a sleeping prince in his nightgown. They had no idea that the lump in that bed was wrapped in more iron than a medieval hardware store. Information advantage, me. I also knew something else. My brother Richard's only third-rank fighter was his personal bodyguard, Lancelot. No way Richard sends Lancelot away. That would leave him unprotected. So whoever was coming for me tonight was second rank at best. Second rank assassins versus a second rank equivalent body that can't be dismembered, armor that tanks second rank knight punches without a scratch, a sword that cuts stone, and a shield that negates 100% of physical attacks. They thought they were the predators. Adorable. Time to set the trap. I needed these guys to commit, to actually rush in instead of sneaking around all night. Isabella, I called out softly. Your Highness? You're still awake? I'm feeling anxious. My heart's racing. Isabella's voice went impossibly soft. Almost. Gentle? Was that a baby voice? Did the fearsome knight captain just use a baby voice on me? Don't worry, I'm here. Nothing will happen. Just close your eyes. Somewhere in the darkness, I could feel her blushing. This hardened warrior woman who cuts hands off for a living was trying to be comforting, and she was absolutely terrible at it. It was honestly kind of adorable. But I wasn't done. I needed her to step away from her guard position, just for a second. Just enough to make the assassins think, now's our chance. I'm thirsty. Could you get me some water? She moved toward the lamp to turn it on. Her hand left her sword. That was the opening. The window exploded inward. Glass everywhere. 7 shadows burst into the room like a SWAT team from hell. Someone launched projectiles at every lamp in the room. Crash, 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 plunging everything into total darkness. Only moonlight remained. 7 silhouettes. 7 killers. 6th prince. Time to die. They rushed my bed. All of them. Sprinting at the helpless sleeping prince in his jammies. Isabella erupted. Red battle energy ignited across her body like she'd caught fire, lighting up the room in crimson. Enemy attack. Your Highness, get down. Oh, I wasn't getting down. I was getting up. And these 7 idiots had absolutely no idea what they just walked into. The assassins came through the window like a budget action movie. Glass everywhere, 7 shadows. All the lamps smashed at once. Very dramatic, very theatrical. 0 stars for subtlety. 6th prince. Time to die. They rushed my bed expecting a scared boy in pajamas. Instead, a full Iron Knight sat up and threw off the blankets like a horror movie monster. The look on that first assassin's face. Priceless. His little knife went T-A-N-K against my iron chest plate, and I swear his soul left his body half a second before his actual body did. One swing of my iron sword, done. Gone. Meeting his ancestors. Your Highness? Are you okay? Isabella sprinted over. I casually pointed at the corpse next to me. I'm fine. This guy, though? Not so much. Isabella stared at me. Full armor, sword, shield, standing on my bed like an action figure, and I could physically see the question mark floating above her head. She'd been in the room the whole time. She never saw me put any of it on. Because inventory equipping is instant and silent, baby. The ultimate sleepover trick. No time to explain, though. The remaining 6 assassins regrouped. Wasn't he supposed to be useless? Just rush him. It was a lucky shot. 6 versus 2. 5 jumped Isabella while 1 came for me. Bad decision, buddy. He stabbed. I raised my shield. His blade hit the wood and just stopped, like he'd poked a mountain. Then I swung back. Nothing fancy, just a big, honest, caveman swing. His dagger came up to block. His wrist shattered on contact. Turns out when you block a sword that cuts stone, wielded by a body with second-rank knight strength, your bones simply file for divorce. My sword went through him like he was made of warm butter. 2 down. The remaining assassins suddenly looked very sober. Meanwhile, Isabella stopped holding back. Without needing to babysit me, she went full unleashed mode. First-rank technique, valiant strike. 2 assassins deleted in 1 swing. The last 3 tried to run. Keyword, tried. Second-rank technique, triple slash. 3 cuts. 3 bodies. 3 seconds. Isabella didn't even break a sweat. She killed people the way most people open mail, efficiently, without thinking, slightly bored. Note to self, definitely learn sword skills from this woman. If I'd fought those 5 simultaneously, I'd still be awkwardly swinging at air. Nice work, Isabi. A shadow appeared between us. Out of nowhere. I didn't hear him, didn't see him, didn't sense him. He just materialized like a ghost between me and Isabella, holding a dagger that radiated, I am not a normal knife, energy. My neck went ice cold. Second-rank assassin, Isabella shouted. Get back. The assassin captain. The real deal. He chuckled like a movie villain. Finally, those glory-hogging idiots are dead. Now I can take your head myself. Then he pulled out his trump card, a 3rd-rank magic scroll. The thing unrolled, and boom, a massive water elemental materialized in the hallway. A living wave of liquid destruction, transparent and shifting and absolutely disgusting to fight. It immediately body-slammed Isabella and every servant rushing to help, including poor Tristan, who got washed down the stairs screaming, "Stop squishing this old man." The water elemental parked itself in the corridor like a sentient tsunami bouncer. Isabella hacked at it with her sword, but it just splashed and reformed. Splashed and reformed. Physical attacks meant basically nothing to this thing. She was stuck, which meant I was alone, with a second-rank assassin. In a dark room. He blurred. I barely got my shield up in time. Bang, bang, bang. 3 hits blocked. But he was fast. Way faster than me. My shield caught most of it, but he slipped through once. HP -2. Current HP, 1820. The iron armor ate most of the damage. And then, 2 breaths later, HP 1. HP 1. Current HP, 20/20ths, full health. From breathing. The hunger bar ticked down half a notch. Cost of immortality, 1 snack. I swung at him. Missed. Swung again. Missed. He was dodging everything like a greased cat. Such pathetic swordsmanship, he sneered, dancing around my attacks. How do you expect to beat me? He was right. My sword skills were garbage. He was carving me up little by little, enjoying himself, savoring the feeling of bullying a prince. Big mistake. He was so busy being smug that he forgot something important. I'm not just a swordsman. I'm a Minecraft player. I switched to cobblestone blocks. He charged at me again, full speed, dagger gleaming. At the last second, I slapped a cobblestone block right in his path. 1 cubic meter of solid stone appeared out of thin air at shin height. He ran into it at full sprint. The crack of his shin hitting stone echoed through the room. His face went from, "I'm going to kill you," to, "Ah, my leg," in 0.2 seconds. I lunged with my sword. But this guy, even with a bleeding, possibly broken shin, twisted his body at some impossible angle and dodged the killing blow. Are you serious? You're a cockroach, dude. A human cockroach. Fine. Plan B. I jumped. Placed a block under my feet midair. Jumped again. Block. Jump. Block. Jump. Block. Pillar jumping. The most basic Minecraft survival move in the book. In 3 seconds, I was standing on a 5-block-tall pillar, my head almost touching the ceiling, looking down at the assassin captain like he was a bug. He stared up at me, blood dripping from his shin, dagger in hand, brain clearly trying to process what just happened. I looked down at him with the smuggest grin in the history of 2 worlds, wiggled my finger in a "come here" gesture, and said, "Come on then. Kill me. I dare you." The assassin captain stared up at me on my pillar like a cat watching a bird on a telephone pole. His brain was visibly buffering. What? What I asked this? Are you an earth mage? Where's your spell chanting? Buddy, I don't need chanting. I need blocks. He tried to parkour up the pillar. I'll give him credit. The man could wall run like a ninja. But the second he got close, I swung my sword with everything I had. It hit his dagger like a freight train. Steve's strength sent him flying off the pillar and crashing back to the ground. His arms were shaking. His face was pure confusion. I wiggled my finger at him again. This is what you brought to assassinate a prince. He lost it. Started throwing daggers at me like an angry carnival performer. And honestly, his aim was perfect. Every single knife targeted a vital spot. Professional-grade murder throws. Too bad I had a wooden shield that's conceptually immune to all projectiles. Tink, 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 tink. Every knife bounced off like rubber balls hitting a brick wall. And while he was throwing his entire arsenal at me, I casually pulled out a baked potato and started eating it. Not to taunt him. I genuinely needed to refill my hunger bar from the healing earlier. But from his perspective, his target was standing on an impossible stone pillar, blocking every attack with a wooden shield, and snacking during an assassination attempt. I took a big bite. Delicious. I'm going to cut your head off and kick it into the river. Now we had a problem. A hilarious, stupid problem. He couldn't reach me. I couldn't hit him. He was too fast on the ground for my garbage sword skills, and I was too high up for his melee attacks. We were just staring at each other. Two idiots in a standoff. Like a really intense game of the floor is lava, except one player was a professional killer. Meanwhile, in the hallway, the water elemental was destroying everyone. Isabella was slashing at it over and over, but it just went splash and reformed. The servants tried to rush past and got tsunamied down the stairs. Tristan was somewhere in the pile screaming, "Stop crushing this old man. I needed to solve the water elemental problem." Isabella couldn't beat it with physical attacks, and nobody else was even close to strong enough. Then my gamer brain kicked in. Water elemental is made of water, right? And in Minecraft, you can pick up any liquid. That with a bucket. I slapped down a crafting table on top of my pillar, grabbed 3 iron ingots, and crafted an iron bucket mid-combat, standing on a stone tower, while an assassin was trying to kill me. Multitasking at its finest, I chucked the empty bucket at the water elemental. It sailed through the air, missed the elemental completely, and landed at Isabella's feet. "Isabella, use that bucket to scoop up the water elemental." She stopped mid-swing, looked at the bucket, looked at the giant horrifying water monster, looked back at the bucket. I could feel her thinking, has he lost his mind? But God bless this woman. She'd seen enough of my insanity to know that when I say do something stupid, it works. She grabbed the bucket and charged the water elemental like a woman trying to catch a tsunami with a soup pot. The servants behind her. "Captain, what are you doing?" Isabella herself. "I have no idea," she scooped. The water elemental, a third-rank magical creature that had been manhandling a dozen fighters simultaneously, started shrinking. All the water in the hallway reversed direction, streaming back toward the bucket like someone hit rewind on reality. Gallons and gallons of magical death water just slurped right in. The elemental's face, yes, it had a face made of water, went from menacing to deeply confused. Water elemental, a third-rank monster, defeated by a bucket. A bucket. The servant's jaws were on the floor. Did she just bucket a boss monster? Impossible, the assassin captain screamed. His water elemental contract vanished. His 100 gold coin investment, gone. Collected like rainwater. Isabella burst into the room, bucket in one hand, sword in the other, ready to end this. Then she saw my stone pillar and froze. The servants piled in behind her and also froze. Everyone was just staring at this random 4-meter stone column in the middle of my bedroom with me standing on top like a statue. I could see the question forming in the servants' heads. Is this a noble person thing? Do rich people sleep on pillars? The assassin captain knew it was over. He bolted for the window. Isabella chased and hit him with triple slash, but only one connected, catching his leg. He screamed, crashed through the glass, and disappeared into the garden. He got away. Isabella almost jumped after him, but stopped. Smart. Could be more assassins waiting outside. Tristan sent the servants to search the garden instead. With the excitement dying down, I hopped off my pillar. 3 meters, no damage, Steve body don't care, and immediately mined it back into blocks with my pickaxe. Not because I'm frugal, because a giant stone pillar in the middle of my bedroom would be really hard to explain to the interior decorator. Isabella handed me the bucket. I looked inside. Just regular water. The elemental had died when the scroll's magic ran out. Oh man, I was hoping I could keep a pet water elemental. Before I could be properly disappointed, a scream echoed from the garden. Who the hell dug a giant pit in the backyard? Oh yeah, the hole from my mining session this morning. The one I completely forgot about. Looks like the assassin captain's dramatic escape ended with him falling into my leftover quarry like a cartoon character. Today's score: leeway, 7 kills, 1 bucket capture, 1 accidental pit trap. Assassins, 0. I love this game. Everyone rushed to the garden following the screaming. And there he was, the big bad assassin captain, sitting at the bottom of my mining hole, clutching his leg like a toddler who fell off a swing. The hole I dug this morning. 4 rocks. I accidentally built the world's most effective trap by just being lazy about filling it back in. Tristan absolutely lost it. This 50-year-old man was cackling so hard his face looked like a crumpled napkin. Your Highness, your hole caught a criminal. Ha 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 ha. The assassin was furious. Who dug this? I'll kill whoever. I leaned over the edge with my best customer service smile. That would be me. Custom built just for you. How's the fit? Comfortable? I'll kill you. You've said that like 4 times tonight. Starting to feel like an empty promise. Man, he literally coughed up blood from sheer rage. I broke this man emotionally with a hole and some sarcasm. Then came my favorite part. He launched into his dramatic speech. I'll never talk. Kill me if you want. I'm ready to die. Classic hostage negotiation move. He wanted me to interrogate him. The playbook goes: refuse to talk, get tortured a little, gradually, break down, feed me some crumbs of real info mixed with lies, then trade the big juicy secret for his life. Textbook stuff. I've read this exact scene in approximately 300 novels. So I did the one thing he absolutely did not expect. Oh, you won't talk? Cool. Then I don't need you. His face went blank. Tristan, you're not interrogating him. Isabella. Really? Nope. I already know who sent him. My little brother Richard in Skywinter. Even if I got a full confession, Richard would have cleaned every trace. Reporting it to the capital would go nowhere. Why waste my energy? Then I pulled out cobblestone blocks and sealed the hole shut. Total darkness. Total silence. Just a bleeding assassin alone in a 5-meter pit wondering what the hell just happened. His entire psychological warfare strategy was built on one assumption: that I would want information from him. That I'd play the interrogation game. Question, resist, torture, break, negotiate. I just didn't play. Down in his little cave, the assassin captain was probably thinking, he'll come back. He has to come back. Nobody ignores valuable intelligence. This is a bluff. 1 day passed. I was in the training yard learning sword fighting from Isabella. 2 days passed. More training. More sweating. More getting my butt kicked by a pretty redhead. 3 days passed. My sword skills were actually improving. Isabella was a terrifyingly good teacher. And the assassin? Still in the hole. In the dark. With an infected leg wound. Running a fever. Listening to the muffled sounds of people farming potatoes directly above his head. His entire existence had been reduced to lying in darkness while above him, happy workers chatted about potato yields. The most mundane, boring, potato-related conversations imaginable, echoing into his personal underground hell for 72 straight hours. No interrogation. No torture. No mind games. Just potatoes. Forever. His psychological training covered resisting beatings, resisting starvation, resisting waterboarding. It did not cover being ignored while people discussed root vegetables above your head. On day 3, he finally snapped. Let me out. I want to see the prince. I have critical intelligence. The northern border is compromised. Let me to what? His screaming scared the absolute daylights out of the potato workers. One guy almost dropped a whole batch of freshly grown potatoes. I asked that a ghost, a demon from the underworld, Pete, my beautiful, reliable head of potato operations, calmly told everyone, relax, it's just a prisoner in the basement. The workers listened to the screaming for about 2 minutes, got bored, and went back to farming. Same lines on repeat. Boring. Hey, if we finish early, we get extra potatoes to take home. A professional assassin, trained in psychological warfare for decades, master of mental fortitude, completely broken. Not by torture, not by threats, by being ignored. 3 days of darkness, infection, and listening to potato farmers will humble anyone. I didn't even have to lift a finger. I just went about my day, training, building, farming, while time and boredom did all the interrogation work for me. Pete ran off to tell Tristan the assassin was finally ready to talk. And somewhere in that dark hole, the assassin captain was having his final thought before surrender. This prince doesn't fight fair. He doesn't negotiate fair. He doesn't even ignore fair. What kind of monster is he? The kind that plays Minecraft, buddy. We're very patient with our projects. 3 days of training with Isabella. 3 days of eating together, training together, and sleeping in the same room. Before you get any ideas, it was purely for security reasons. Assassins could still be out there. She needed to be close. Professional necessity. Nothing else. Though she did mention she'd considered sharing my actual bed for maximum protection efficiency. Her words, not mine. She decided it would be too inappropriate to suggest. Isabella, sweetheart, you just suggested it by saying you couldn't suggest it. But okay, sure. Security. Anyway, the training was incredible. In 3 days, I completely mastered the Roland basic sword technique, a legendary set of moves created by an ancient sword saint 1,000 years ago. Isabella took a month to learn this. I did it in 3 days. Why? Because Steve's body treats every new skill like downloading a mod. My muscles just absorb movements. It's like my body has auto-learn enabled. Every swing, every stance, every footwork pattern, 1 or 2 tries, and it's permanently saved to my hard drive. Isabella was staring at me with this look that was half admiration, half existential crisis. This 20-year-old genius who reached second rank faster than anyone in her generation was suddenly feeling inadequate next to a guy who learned sword fighting by having a cheat code for a skeleton. Your learning ability is absurd, she said, and the slight pout in her voice was honestly kind of adorable. Then came the advanced lesson, breathing technique. This is the thing that separates regular fighters from real warriors in this world. Isabella explained it beautifully, and by beautifully, I mean she got all dramatic and poetic about it. Do you know why dragons can melt castle walls with their breath? Because it's hot? She gave me this look like a teacher whose student just answered, because it's blue, to a question about the ocean. They've carved the rhythm of volcanic eruption into their very bones. Then she did something wild. Her breathing changed, and suddenly the grass around the training field started swaying in sync with her chest rising and falling. She'd synchronized her body with the environment itself. Her voice went all ethereal and floaty. Align your body's frequency with your surroundings. Speed, stamina, reflexes, everything improves. Cool. How do I learn? Come closer. I stepped forward. 1 step apart. I could hear her breathing. Soft. Rhythmic. I'd actually been hearing it every night for 3 days since we shared a room, but somehow this felt different. Place your hand on me and match my rhythm. I raised my hand and reached toward her, and without her knight armor on, just wearing the thin training outfit, Isabella's proportions were significantly more apparent than usual. Let's just say gravity was working overtime and leave it at that. Eyes up, leeway. Eyes up. I snapped my gaze upward so fast I nearly gave myself whiplash. Auto-targeting systems, forcibly disabled. I very gentlemanly placed just 2 fingers on her neck, where I could feel her pulse and breathing. Smooth skin, soft as milk. Focus, focus. Feel my rhythm, she whispered, eyes closed, completely trusting me. And something magical happened. Not Minecraft magic, real magic. I started syncing with the environment. The cold northern wind, the swaying grass, the moss on the walls. Everything became an extension of my body. It was like switching from first-person to third-person camera view in a game. Wider awareness. Enhanced everything. For a normal person, the stat boost would be minor. For me, with Steve's already ridiculous base stats, it was like putting a turbocharger on a race car. I could now keep up with a second-rank assassin's speed. I was officially a second-rank combatant, and I realized why I was learning everything so fast. Steve's body was treating this world's combat system like a new mod. Sword skills? Downloaded. Breathing technique? Installed. Compatibility check? Passed. My body was basically running Medieval Fantasy Combat version 1.0 as a plugin. We were standing there, eyes closed, practically breathing as one, my fingers on her neck, her face peaceful, our bodies almost touching. Your Highness. Your Highness. The assassin has, Tristan, came thundering up the stairs like a caffeinated elephant, saw us standing inches apart in what looked very much like a romantic moment, and slapped both hands over his mouth. Haha, wrong place. You two continue. I'm leaving. Isabella jumped back 2 steps like she'd been electrocuted. Was her face red? It was. The fearsome knight captain was blushing. I calmly pulled my hand back. My fingertips were still warm from her skin. Cool. Normal. Totally professional training exercise. Nothing to see here. What about the assassin, Tristan? He broke. He wants to talk. But only to you. All right. I completely forgot about that guy. 3 days of living my best life with my beautiful sword instructor, and I literally forgot I had a human being trapped underground. Whoops. He says he has critical intelligence about the northern border, Tristan added. Then he glanced at Isabella with the smuggest expression known to mankind and waggled his eyebrows. This old man was mentally planning my wedding. I could see it in his eyes. He was already picking flower arrangements and writing invitations. Young master and the Windsor knight, sitting in a tree. I ignored his romantic scheming and turned to Isabella. Honest assessment. If I fought that second-rank assassin right now, what are my chances? The blush vanished instantly. Professional Isabella activated like a light switch. With your current strength, swordsmanship, and breathing technique? 9 out of 10. At minimum. Tristan's jaw dropped. What? Since when? What did you two do for 3 days? Then his eyes went wide, and he immediately added, Actually, don't answer that. I cracked my knuckles and grinned. Perfect. I just learned a bunch of new techniques, and I need a practice dummy. I looked toward the garden. And I happen to have one gift wrapped in a hole, somewhere beneath the potato farm. The assassin captain shivered for no apparent reason. Why am I suddenly cold? He muttered in the darkness. Oh, buddy, you have no idea what's coming. They fished the assassin captain out of my hole like a sad, soggy cat from a well. 3 days underground with no food, no water, infected wounds, and nothing but the sound of potato farming above his head. When sunlight hit his face, this hardened killer looked like he was about to cry. His name was Velrose, apparently. Second-rank assassin. Elite member of Skywinter's Assassin Guild. Currently looking like a man whose entire career had been personally insulted by a teenager with building blocks. I have valuable information, he croaked. The person who sent the refugees and the assassins, it's Richard Charles. Your own brother. He wanted to use the refugees to create chaos and have you killed. I stared at him. He stared at me. That's it. Is that not important enough? Buddy, I figured that out on day 1. You made me walk all the way out here, interrupting my training session with a beautiful girl, to tell me something I already knew? Throw him back in the hole. Wait. I have more. Much bigger. I raised my hand. The servants froze. Velrose was dangling half a meter above his personal underground apartment. 1 second slower, and he'd have been checking back in. Now he started talking for real. The monster wave that destroyed the northern border wasn't normal. It was led by a massive black dragon. Purple eyes. Purple breath. My brain stopped. Anyone hit by its breath gets transformed into a terrifying creature. Tall, thin, black skin, purple eyes. And they can teleport. Appear behind you instantly and rip your head off. Black dragon. Purple eyes. Purple breath. Transforms people into tall, dark creatures that teleport and hate you. That's an Ender Dragon. And those creatures are Endermen. The Ender Dragon is in this world. The final boss of Minecraft is here, and it's an upgraded version that turns humans into Endermen with its breath. That's not in the base game. That's a modded Ender Dragon. Who installed this DLC? Velrose continued. The Royal Knight Order has sealed the entire northern border to prevent these creatures from entering the kingdom. They call the transformation Dragon Breath Syndrome. Anyone whose eyes turn purple is already infected and needs to be killed immediately. Oh, and I barely escaped myself. One of those teleporting things chased me, but I jumped into a river and it stopped following. Endermen don't like water. Confirmed. At least that mechanic stayed the same. Pretty good intel, right? So, can I go now? I nodded. Absolutely. I'll even heal your wounds first. His eyes went wide. Isabella brought over a low-grade healing potion, barely concealing the fact that she wanted to decapitate him instead. Velrose sniffed it, professional poison checker habits, confirmed it was clean, and drank it. His fever vanished. His pain disappeared. He was back to fighting shape. Then, and this is the part I'd been waiting 3 days for, the servants untied him. Tristan quietly evacuated everyone from the garden. The area cleared out. Just me, Isabella, and Velrose. I stepped forward, smiled warmly, and in the time it took him to blink, I was wearing full iron armor with sword and shield. Instant inventory equip, baby. You know what, Velrose? You were right earlier. He looked confused. About what? I activated my breathing technique. The wind, the grass, the cold air, everything synced with my body. My stats surged. I looked at him the way you look at a practice dummy. You said you deserve to die? I agree. His face went white. You can't. The oath. You swore on your royal name. The contract god will punish you. Ah yes, the oath. Let me recite what I actually said. I swear to release him and not pursue the assassination matter. Released him? Check. He's untied and standing right here. Not pursuing the assassination? Check. I'm not pursuing that at all. What I'm doing now is issuing a kill order against an unidentified intruder in my territory. Completely separate legal matter. Different hat. Different jurisdiction. I'm not breaking any contract, I said calmly. I released you. I healed you. The assassination case is closed. But as Lord of Winterfrost Town, I'm now issuing a wanted notice for an unidentified trespasser. And trespassers can be executed on sight. Velrose's face went through the 5 stages of grief in about 2 seconds. You're playing word games? You demon. Isabella had already positioned herself behind him, blocking the only escape route, red battle energy glowing on her blade. Sorry, she said, not sorry at all. This way's closed. Velrose turned to me, the only remaining direction. He grinned, because in his mind, I was still the guy who couldn't land a hit 3 days ago. He charged full speed. I swung my sword. He dodged with the same confident sidestep that had worked perfectly before, and my blade caught his throat. Clean. Precise. A completely different swing than 3 days ago. 3 days of training with Isabella. 3 days of downloading the Roland sword technique. 3 days of mastering breathing technique. All compressed into one beautiful, devastating cut. His eyes went impossibly wide. How? 3 days ago, I couldn't touch him. Now I was matching his speed. He collapsed, clutching his bleeding neck. Lord Li Wei, I was wrong. I'll sign a master-servant contract. I'll never betray you. Please. I walked toward him slowly. Sword raised. Winter sun behind me. Full dramatic anime lighting. You don't think you were wrong. You just think you're about to die. I glanced at Isabella, my loyal, fierce, thorny rose of a knight, and smiled. Between a wall-climbing weed like you and the thorny rose standing behind me, the choice isn't even close. Isabella's lips twitched upward. She was trying not to smile and failing. One clean strike. Velrose, second-rank assassin, elite of Skywinter, master of psychological warfare, veteran of countless missions, killed by a Minecraft player who learned sword fighting in 3 days. Final stats for the assassination arc. Assassins sent, 8 assassins. Killed, 8 magic scrolls wasted by enemy. 1, worth 100 gold coins. Method of capturing boss assassin. Accidentally forgot to fill in a whole method of interrogation. Literally ignoring him for 3 days. Method of defeating water elemental. A bucket contract. Loopholes exploited. 1 cool one-liners delivered. Lost count, and somewhere in Skywinter City, my brother Richard was probably sipping from a fresh bone cup, completely unaware that every single person he sent was dead. His expensive magic scroll was used to fill a bucket, and his big brother just leveled up. Oh, and there's an ender dragon out there. But that's a problem for future me. Present me needs a snack. All that dramatic monologuing made me hungry. Meanwhile, in Skywinter City, my darling little brother Richard was lounging on a leather couch, getting hand-fed grapes by a trembling servant girl, looking like a Disney villain on his day off. So the assassins failed, huh? He popped a grape. What a waste of my third-rank scroll. He wasn't even mad about the failed assassination. He was mad about the money. This kid values his investment portfolio over his own brother's death. Future MBA student of the year right here. But then he smiled that creepy smile of his. Because apparently, the assassination was just plan A, plan B? Way worse. Those refugees are already infected with dragon breath syndrome. In a few days, they'll transform into monsters and slaughter everyone in Winterfrost, including dear Big Brother. Oh, so you knew the refugees were infected when you sent them to me. You didn't just send 1,000 hungry mouths to my door. You sent 1,000 potential ticking time bombs. What a lovely family I have. Then, because the universe apparently decided Richard hadn't been evil enough for one scene, a guard burst in to report that a group of subhuman slaves had escaped from his gladiator arena, including a princess from the northern tribes. Richard's response? He smashed a glass. Shards cut the servant girl. She bit her lip and didn't make a sound because she knew that showing pain would get her turned into tableware. That princess has perfect bone structure. She'd make such a beautiful decorative piece. He wanted to murder a princess and turn her skeleton into jewelry. This isn't a villain. This is a diagnosis. Also, he sent his elite squad after the escaped slaves, the Frost team. 5 second-rank fighters with perfect synergy. Warrior, mage, priest, assassin, archer. A full RPG party comp heading southeast. Toward Winterfrost town. Toward me. But I didn't know about any of that yet. I had a more immediate problem. Back home, I called an emergency meeting with Isabella and Tristan. Topic: there are people in my refugee camp who are slowly turning into Endermen. Your Highness, Isabella asked carefully, you seem to know a lot about this black dragon and its creatures. Time for my favorite hobby. Making up fake sources for real Minecraft knowledge. I read about it in an ancient text once, I said, with the confidence of a college student citing a source they never opened. The black dragon is called the Ender Dragon. The creatures it creates are called Endermen. They can teleport, but they won't attack you unless you make eye contact. And they're terrified of water. Isabella and Tristan looked appropriately spooked, but also relieved. Terrifying teleporting monsters with a weakness to water? That's manageable. Just don't look at them and carry a squirt gun. Now, the big question. Could the transformation be reversed? In Minecraft, Ender Dragon Breath creates the Dragon Breath effect, which is basically a negative status effect. And what clears all negative status effects in Minecraft? Milk. 1 glass of milk cures poison, wither, weakness, blindness, and apparently, if my theory was right, turning into a teleporting shadow monster. I might have a way to save the infected people, I told them. We need to go to the cattle farm. The cattle farm? Tristan and Isabella exchanged looks. Oh no, what insane Minecraft thing is he about to do now look? They were getting used to it. But first, we needed to find the infected refugees. And fast. We split up and started checking the camp. It didn't take long. Isabella found the first case in one of the stone houses. A woman, a mother, whose eyes had turned purple. She was already losing control. When Isabella burst in, the woman had her hands around her own son's throat, trying to strangle him. Her body was being hijacked by the transformation, flooding her brain with one command: kill. Isabella shoulder-checked the woman off the boy and pinned her down. Second-rank knight versus half-transformed civilian, no contest. I walked in and found the little boy on the floor, coughing, crying, terrified. His own mother had just tried to kill him, and he had no idea why. I knelt down, helped him up, and gave him the most reassuring smile I could manage. The kid looked at me with these huge, watery, confused eyes. Don't be scared, I said softly. We're going to help your mom. And I meant it. Because somewhere in this town, there was a cow with the most important milk in the history of 2 worlds. Time to find out if Minecraft dairy products can cure dragon-induced mutation. If this works, I'm patenting magic milk and becoming the richest prince on the continent. If it doesn't, well, let's not think about that while a child is looking at me with hope in his eyes. Your Highness, slow down. I can't keep up. Tristan was dying behind us, literally wheezing like an asthmatic walrus. Look, I felt bad for the old guy, but there was a woman turning into a teleporting shadow monster in the refugee camp. So cardio time, Grandpa. Also, Tristan was having a full existential crisis while running. Aren't you supposed to be a mage? Why are you running faster than a knight? And you just 1v1 foot D a second-rank assassin in melee. What kind of mage does that? The confused kind, Tristan. The confused kind. We'd made a pit stop at the cattle farm on the way. I walked up to every cow with an iron bucket and, squish, 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 filled my entire inventory with milk. The farmer watched me milk his entire herd in about 90 seconds and just stood there with his mouth open. At this point, people seeing me do weird things at impossible speed was basically a daily event in Winterfrost Town. When we burst into the stone house, Isabella already had the infected woman pinned to the ground. The woman's arms were turning black-purple, classic Enderman coloring, and her eyes were solid violet. She'd been seconds away from strangling her own son to death. The little boy was on the floor, coughing, crying, neck bruised. His mom had just tried to kill him and his face was pure. Why? I handed the kid to Tristan and got to work. Now, in Minecraft, you cure status effects by chugging an entire bucket of milk. Just glug glug glug, whole bucket, done. I looked at the iron bucket. Looked at the woman's mouth. Did some quick spatial math. Yeah, no? Pouring an entire bucket into a human face would waste like 90% of the milk and probably drown her. This isn't a game anymore. I need to be practical. I picked up the boy's wooden bowl from the floor, wiped the dirt off with my sleeve, and scooped out a bowlful of milk. Isabella watched me, a prince, clean a dirty peasant bowl with his own clothes, and I saw something flicker in her eyes. Apparently nobles don't do that. Ever. Revolutionary concept. Being a decent person. Hold her still, I said. The moment the woman saw the milk, she went absolutely berserk. Thrashing, screaming, trying to escape. The Enderman transformation was making her terrified of liquids, same mechanic as the game. She couldn't teleport, yet since the transformation wasn't complete, so Isabella just locked her down with second-rank knight strength. I shoved the milk into her mouth. Glug glug glug, she swallowed. Fought it. Swallowed more. And then, it worked. The black-purple patches on her arms started fading. The violet in her eyes drained away like someone was pulling a color filter off a camera. Her expression went from, murder everything, to confused and exhausted in about 5 seconds. She collapsed into Isabella's arms, barely conscious. What? What happened to me? Milk. Cures. Ender. Dragon. Corruption. I cannot stress enough how insane this is. A legendary dragon that terrorizes nations and transforms humans into teleporting death machines. And its power is defeated by cow juice. Regular, ordinary, got it from a farm 5 minutes ago cow juice. Minecraft game balance is absolutely ridiculous, and I have never been more grateful for it. The little boy, his name was Joe, ran to his mom, and they hugged and cried. She was horrified when she realized what she'd almost done. Almost strangled her own child. Her husband had already been killed by an Enderman at the northern border. She'd almost become the same monster that took him. Is this magic milk? She asked through tears. Yes, I said, with a completely straight face. Magic milk, it's regular milk. From a regular cow. But sure, magic milk. Let's go with that. I gave her a mission, help Tristan distribute magic milk to every single refugee. She knew the camp, knew the people, and she was motivated. She'd experienced dragon breath syndrome firsthand. She dropped to her knees and accepted like I'd knighted her. Then I organized the full operation. Tristan and Marina would distribute milk to every refugee. Watch consumption, no exceptions. Isabella and I would each lead a team of knights to sweep the camp for anyone who refused to drink. Because here's the thing. Anyone already showing symptoms would be terrified of liquid. If someone refused the milk, that was basically a confession of infection. We'd have to restrain them and force-feed them dairy products. I never imagined my military career would involve tactical milk deployment, but here we are. Isabella and Tristan didn't even question the milk thing anymore. They'd been through bone meal, cobblestone blocks, iron buckets that eat water elementals, and now healing milk. Their brains had collectively decided to stop asking, how, and just accept that I would periodically produce magical objects from thin air that solved impossible problems. They'd surrendered their critical thinking to me. I was their external hard drive, their Google, their walking cheat code. Just tell us what to do, Your Highness, and we'll do it. We stopped trying to understand 3 miracles ago. Smart. Very smart. Tristan, while coordinating the milk distribution, had a quiet moment of reflection. He was thinking about how the old way used to cause disasters in the capital that Tristan had to clean up. How he'd assumed all that chaos was just a spoiled prince being stupid. Now he believed it was all a disguise. A brilliant act of self-preservation by a genius prince hiding his true power. Huh. Ha ha. No, Tristan. The old Li Wei was actually stupid. He genuinely was a disaster. There was no hidden master plan. He was just an idiot who liked partying and tormenting servants. But you know what? Let the old man have his beautiful delusion. It makes him happy. And a happy Tristan is a productive Tristan. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to go force-feed an entire refugee camp with milk before anyone turns into a teleporting nightmare creature. Just another Tuesday in Winterfrost Town. Operation Magic Milk was in full swing. Tristan set up a distribution point in the center of camp and announced, "Free hot milk from Lord Liwei. Everyone come get some." The refugees went nuts. Free food was already a miracle, but now free hot milk? In winter? These people were ready to build me a church. Lord Li Wei is the most generous leader who ever lived. They were basically starting a religion at this point. The Church of Potato and Milk. I'd be the patron saint. Within 10 minutes, the entire camp was lining up. Perfect. Now here's the genius part. Anyone who didn't come for free warm milk in freezing weather was automatically suspicious. You're a malnourished refugee in below zero temperatures, and you're turning down hot dairy? Yeah, your eyes are probably purple, and your skin is turning black. Next, Isabella and I each grabbed a squad of first-rank knights and started sweeping the camp, house by house. This one's clean. This one too. Found one. The infected ones were always the same. Huddled in corners, terrified. Purple eyes glowing, skin darkening. We'd burst in, pin them down, pour milk in their mouth, and watch the ender corruption drain out of them like someone pulling a plug. One guy was so grateful he fell to his knees in front of Isabella and called her an angel sent from heaven. She didn't even look at him. Just stood up, said, "Keep moving," and sprinted to the next house. Ice cold. Peak efficiency. Zero time for feelings. This woman runs rescue operations like a speedrunner doing a world record attempt. The guy was left kneeling in an empty room, praying to the dawn god for his angel, who'd already left. Buddy, that angel could bench press you with one arm. But sure, keep the prayers coming. We cleared half the camp in 30 minutes. 70+ infected refugees saved. 70. That means if I hadn't acted today, 70 Endermen would have spawned in my refugee camp by tomorrow. 70 teleporting murder machines in a camp full of defenseless civilians. That's not a disaster. That's a genocide speedrun. And my psycho brother Richard knew this would happen. He sent infected refugees to me on purpose. Merry Christmas, big brother. Here's 1,000 refugees and also 70 ticking Enderman bombs. Love, Richard. XOXO. Everything was going great. Too great. Which in my experience means something terrible is about to. I kicked open another stone house door, and there it was. 2.5 meters tall. Pitch black. Impossibly long limbs. Purple particles floating around its body like evil fireflies. Purple eyes staring into the void. A fully transformed Enderman. Standing right there. In my refugee camp. Too late for milk. This one was done cooking. Everyone looked down. Now, I shouted. The knights behind me had been briefed. Don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. And every single head dropped to floor level like synchronized bobbleheads. So there we were. A 2-meter-tall nightmare monster on one side of the room. A bunch of armed knights staring intensely at their own boots on the other side. The most awkward standoff in military history. But me? I was excited. There you are, little Blackie. In Minecraft, every player has a soft spot for Endermen. They're neutral mobs. Leave them alone, and they leave you alone. But if you DO kill one, they drop Ender Pearls. Throwable teleportation devices. Literally the most broken mobility item in the entire game. I could teleport. If I got that pearl, I could literally throw it and instantly appear wherever it lands. PvP? Escape? Surprise attacks? The possibilities were endless. Everyone back off. I'll handle this alone. The knights panicked. My lord, don't. It's dangerous. I ignored them, drew my iron sword, activated breathing technique, and charged. One slash across the Enderman's body. Clean hit. Iron sword bit deep. It screamed. That horrible, distorted, reality-bending Enderman shriek. Its mouth split open impossibly wide. Purple eyes locked onto me with pure rage. Then it vanished. Purple particles scattered. It was behind me, arms raised, ready to rip my head off like a bottle cap. The knights screamed, "Behind you!" But I already knew. Breathing technique gave me environmental awareness. I could feel everything around me. The displacement of air, the shift in pressure, the purple particles condensing behind my shoulder. Shield up. Bang. The Enderman's attack bounced off my shield like it hit a brick wall. 100% frontal damage negation, baby. Works on teleporting shadow monsters too. Turns out, melee attack is melee attack, regardless of how scary the attacker looks. I counterswung. Another clean hit. The Enderman screamed again. The knight's jaws were on the floor. Their lord, the useless prince, was solo fighting a nightmare creature with the calm precision of a veteran warrior. Blocking teleport attacks, counter-striking with perfect timing, moving like he'd fought these things 1,000 times before. Which, technically, I had. In Minecraft, thousands of Endermen killed across hundreds of hours. My muscle memory wasn't from this body. It was from a mouse and keyboard. But apparently Steve's body translated click timing into sword timing perfectly. Isabella arrived just in time to watch the finale. I drove my iron sword through the Enderman's chest. It let out one final, haunting wail. Achievement unlocked. Monster Hunter. The Enderman collapsed and dissolved. On the ground where it died, green experience, orbs that only I could see, and one beautiful, dark green sphere. An ender pearl. I picked it up with trembling, excited hands. This tiny ball could teleport me anywhere I threw it. In a world of swords and horses, I now had instant transmission. Experience absorbed. Level 35. Isabella was staring at me with this expression I hadn't seen before. Not shock, not confusion, something deeper. She'd watched me fight with the fluidity of someone who'd done this 1,000,000 times. Not training ground precision, battlefield instinct. "Your Highness," she said quietly, "how many secrets do you still have?" I just smiled and pocketed the ender pearl. "All of them, Isabella. All of them." I pocketed the ender pearl like it was no big deal. Just casually acquired a teleportation device from killing a shadow monster. Normal Tuesday stuff. Isabella hit me with the world's most sarcastic compliment. "Your Highness, your heroic display left us all breathless." The tone was teasing, but every knight behind her was nodding like, "No, seriously though, that was insane. I'll take it." Compliments from pretty girls and armed soldiers. My ego was eating well today. We kept sweeping. Found 3 more Endermen. This time I let Isabella handle them. She needed the practice. First one gave her trouble because the teleporting threw off her rhythm. But by number 2 and 3, she was butchering them like a pro. The girl's a natural. 3 days ago, she'd never seen one. Now she was speedrunning Enderman kills. Bad news though. 3 Endermen and not one dropped an Ender Pearl. 0. The RNG gods were cruel. In Minecraft, Enderman Pearl drop rates are already trash, and apparently this world kept that mechanic perfectly intact. Thanks, universe. Real cool. Keep all the broken physics, but also keep the garbage loot tables. We found the last infected patient, an 8-year-old girl. Purple eyes, blackening skin, barely conscious. Her mother was kneeling beside her, sobbing. I fed the girl milk. The corruption drained away. Mom collapsed to the ground crying. You saved her. If she'd turned into one of those monsters, my husband already died fighting them. If I lost her too, I handed the girl back. She'll be fine now. Final count. 157 Dragon Breath Syndrome patients cured. 157 people who would have turned into teleporting murder machines by tomorrow. 157 Endermen that didn't spawn in a camp full of defenseless refugees. Richard, you absolute psychopath. You knew. You sent me a biological weapon disguised as charity cases. 157 time bombs, and you were sitting in Skywinter waiting for the fireworks. But they didn't go off. Because I had milk. Your multi-layered assassination/monster apocalypse plan was defeated by dairy products. I hope that keeps you up at night. As we walked out of the last stone house, winter sunlight hit our faces. And something weird happened. The knights behind me, all 12 of them, suddenly dropped to one knee. In perfect unison, like they'd rehearsed it. I turned around. What's happening? They unlocked their neck armor, exposing their throats. Isabella leaned close and whispered, They're swearing personal allegiance to you. It's a 300-year-old tradition. They're leaving the Northern Knight Order to become your direct vassals. Oh. One by one, they spoke their names. I, Cree Ironforge, pledge my loyalty to the Lord of Winterfrost. Wade Greystone. I'll be the gravel beneath your boots. Carl Longfrost. I swear to be the clasp on your cloak. I was standing there thinking, are they listing themselves like a restaurant menu? But apparently this was deeply meaningful medieval knight stuff. Each one was basically saying, I will die for you, specifically, forever. Why? Because today, for the first time in their careers, they actually did what knights were supposed to do. They saved people. Not for money, not for glory, not for political advancement. They saved 157 dying civilians with magic milk, and it reminded them why they became knights in the first place. Humility, honor, sacrifice, valor, compassion. All that stuff they learned as squires and forgot the second they got promoted and started enjoying the privileges of their rank. I accidentally gave them a moral wake-up call. Not through some inspiring speech, just by being a decent person, treating refugees like humans, curing sick kids, fighting monsters myself instead of hiding behind bodyguards. Honestly, I wasn't trying to be noble. I was just applying basic 21st century Earth morality to a medieval world, and apparently that's such a massive upgrade that it counts as a dimensional level ethics attack. I morally outclassed this entire civilization by just not being terrible. The bar was iron hell, and I simply stepped over it. I accept your loyalty, I said, doing the sword-on-shoulder thing I'd seen in movies. My only order, save as many suffering people as you can, as you wish, most merciful Lord. Then we headed to the center of camp where Tristan had finished distributing milk to every refugee. Mission accomplished. 0 remaining infections. The entire camp was clean. Tristan sidled up to me and whispered, now's the time, Your Highness. Say something rousing. These people would die for you right now. Just give them the standard noble speech. Serve me and prosper, and they're yours forever. He wanted me to do the classic medieval lord move. Claim them as property. Bind them with gratitude. Standard feudal playbook. I looked out at hundreds of faces. People who'd been starving a week ago. People whose homes were destroyed. People who'd watched family members die. People who'd almost turned into monsters today. They were all staring at me with eyes full of more gratitude than I deserved. As long as I'm Lord of Winterfrost, I said, no one will die from hunger or cold. Live like human beings. That's your only mission as citizens of this town. Dead silence. Tristan blinked. That was not the speech he'd prepared me for. The knights smiled. Isabella smiled. The refugees just stared, confused, because no noble had ever told them to live like humans. In their world, commoners existed to serve, to be taxed, to be used. The idea that a lord would look at them and say, your job is to live with dignity, was so foreign it didn't compute. Then, one by one, the tears started falling. Not sadness tears, something else entirely. And then the roar came. A tidal wave of cheering, clapping, sobbing, screaming. 1,000 voices crashing together into one sound that shook the entire town. All chanting one name. Mine. I'm not going to lie. Standing there, bathed in winter sunlight, listening to 1,000 people who were dying last week now screaming my name with joy. It hit different. I'm still just a gamer who got ice-guyed by lightning. But maybe, just maybe, I'm becoming something more. Or maybe I'm just a guy with really, really good milk. After the Dragon Breath crisis, Winterfrost Town was thriving. Like, genuinely doing well for the first time and probably forever. The townspeople couldn't shut up about me. Every street corner had people gossiping. Did you hear? He made the refugees free citizens, not serfs. He's got some mysterious alchemist making magical items, growth powder, cobblestone blocks, magic milk. He's going to renovate the whole town. I was basically the talk of every water cooler in medieval Winterfrost. My approval ratings were through the roof. The only complaint? The ridiculous taxes the old me set up. Land tax, water tax, breathing-adjacent taxes, the whole collection of fiscal crimes against humanity. I wanted to abolish them. Badly. But the minor estate lords, the landlords of this world, were blocking me. These guys were the medieval equivalent of HOA presidents. They'd been profiting off those taxes for years, and they weren't giving that up without a fight. One battle at a time, Li Wei. One battle at a time. What I didn't know was that Richard had a spy in my town. A traveling merchant who was actually writing down everything he saw and sending it via a magic carrier pigeon. 2-star Yelp review of my town, delivered straight to my psycho brother. When the report hit Richard's desk, he was in the middle of his favorite hobby, carving a human skull. The gladiator manager's skull, specifically. The one he'd had killed for letting the slaves escape. He was literally sculpting it into art. This kid needs therapy. Industrial quantities of therapy. He opened the letter expecting good news. Your brother is dead. The monsters ate everyone. Here's a party invitation. Instead he got, your brother solved the food crisis with magic powder, built hundreds of houses in one day with magic blocks, cured dragon breath syndrome with magic milk, killed Enderman personally, and has an entire town worshipping him like a god. Richard's face went through a journey. He's alive. Yes, Your Highness. The 100+ Endermen didn't kill everyone. No, Your Highness. How? His brain tried to make it make sense. The only explanation? A 5th-rank professional, a legendary being, must be secretly helping me. Because no normal person could do what I'd done. 4th-rank alchemists existed in the capital, and none of them could create items this powerful. Huh. He's out there searching for my mysterious 5th-rank master, and the master is literally just me, a gamer. With Minecraft, the most dangerous 5th-rank professional in the world is a 27-year-old who spent too much time playing block games. Richard flipped his entire work table. Skull went flying. Tools scattered everywhere. Full tantrum mode. Find this 5th-rank master. Gold, land, women, whatever they want. Offer 10 times what Li Wei gives. Good luck recruiting me from myself, buddy. Excuse me, mysterious master. Would you like to betray yourself for money? Then, because the universe loves adding side quests to my already overflowing quest log, Lancelot mentioned that the escaped subhuman princess had fled into a forest about 10 kilometers from MY town. Richard's elite squad was closing in. Catch her. I'll make her regret running from me. This maniac wanted to turn a princess into jewelry, her bones into decorative pieces. I didn't even know about this yet, but I had a feeling my to-do list was about to get longer. Back home, I was training as usual, getting closer to officially becoming a 1st-rank warrior. Isabella said the key was merging breathing technique with sword skills until they became instinct. A few more real fights, and I'd break through. Sparring with Isabella had gotten weird. Not because she was bad. She was an incredible teacher. But she wasn't trying to kill me, so it felt less like combat training and more like flirting with swords. Every session ended with us sweaty, breathing hard, standing too close together, and pretending that was normal. I needed real combat. Life or death stuff. The kind where your blood actually pumps. Then, like the universe read my wish list, Isabella showed up in full armor with a squad. Reports of a 2nd-rank magical beast in the forest about 10 kilometers out. We're going to investigate. My eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. I'm coming. Your Highness, you should probably put on your... Before she finished the sentence, I opened my inventory and instantly equipped everything. Full iron armor, sword, shield, materialized on my body in the time it took her to blink. Isabella and every knight in the room just froze. How? When did you? I looked at them standing there with their mouths open and grinned. What are we waiting for? Let's go hunt some monsters. Somewhere in that forest, a 2nd-rank magical beast was having the last peaceful day of its life. And somewhere nearby, a princess was running for hers. I didn't know it yet, but this little monster investigation was about to become a lot more complicated. We went into the White Wolf Forest expecting to find a 2nd-rank magical beast. Instead, we found something way more interesting, a full-blown chase scene. Screaming, clashing weapons, arrows flying through trees. The whole action movie package. We followed the noise and stumbled into what looked like a very one-sided murder party. 5 heavily armed professionals were chasing 2 girls through the snow. The pursuers were decked out in matching gear: warrior, archer, assassin, mage, priest. A full RPG party. The kind of squad you build when you've been min-maxing your team comp for years. The Frost Squad. Richard's elite unit. All 2nd rank. The one sent to capture his escaped slaves. One of the girls, a tiny dog-eared girl named Coco, was standing between the attackers and her princess with nothing but a dagger and sheer willpower. Blood everywhere. hands shaking, completely outmatched. But she wasn't moving. Loyal to the bone. Literally, dog people take loyalty to a genetic level. The big warrior guy, Bark Rockbreaker, or whatever his name was the size of a refrigerator with an axe to match. He looked at tiny Coco and said, with the creepiest smile imaginable, "She's cute. Can I keep her?" His teammate sighed like this was a regular occurrence. "Sure, whatever. This is the caliber of human being my brother employs. Dog girl collectors. Fantastic." Meanwhile, the princess, a white-furred fox girl named Nina, had been herded by the archer's arrows straight into a trap. Net fell. She was caught, hanging from a tree like a very angry Christmas ornament. That's when I arrived. Bark was reaching down to grab Coco when my sword came screaming out of nowhere and crashed into his axe. The collision rang through the entire forest. He slid backward in the snow, shaking his hand. His face was priceless. Pure shock. This guy's whole identity was being the strongest person in any room, and some random teenager had just outmuscled him in a single clash. We traded a few more blows. I pushed him back. Every swing, every clash, I was matching or exceeding his strength. Steve's body plus breathing technique plus 3 days of sword training equals one very confused berserker. Not bad, kid. I, Bark Rockbreaker, acknowledge you. Cool speech, bro, but I didn't ask. I flicked the ice off my iron sword, purely for style points, and addressed all 5 of them in my most princely voice. "You unidentified intruders. What exactly are you doing on Winterfrost territory?" Behind me, Isabella and a full squad of armored knights stepped out of the treeline like a medieval SWAT team. The Frost squad suddenly looked a lot less confident. 5 versus 2 girls? Easy. 5 versus a full knight platoon led by a guy who just arm wrestled their strongest member into a draw. Different conversation entirely. Isabella helped Coco up. The little dog girl was barely standing. Cuts everywhere, hands bleeding, exhausted. But she looked up at me with the most desperate eyes I've ever seen. "Please, save Princess Nina. We lost 30 people escaping from Skywinter. The 7th prince wants to torture us to death." Then, quieter, shaking. "He wants to make decorations from the princess's bones." My blood went cold. I looked over at Nina, tangled in a net, hanging from a tree. White fox ears, white tail, struggling silently, refusing to cry even though she was terrified. Then I looked at the 5 second-rank professionals sent to drag her back to a psychopath who wanted to turn her skeleton into jewelry. "She's from the northern subhuman tribes," Coco continued. "She's our princess. Please, we'll owe you everything. Let me think about this for approximately 0 seconds. Save a princess from my evil brother, gain an alliance with an entire tribal nation, rescue someone from being turned into arts and crafts, and make Richard furious? Where do I sign?" I turned back to the Frost squad, raised my iron sword, and pointed it directly at them. "You have about 5 seconds to explain why you're on MY land before I classify you as hostile invaders." The warrior cracked his knuckles. The assassin shifted in his tree. The archer knocked an arrow. This was about to get very, very fun. The Frost squad had done their homework fast. Their archer identified Isabella by her red hair and the Winterfrost knight emblems. But when they looked at me, black hair, black eyes, royal bloodline markers, they went, "Nah, can't be the 6th prince. That guy's a useless loser. Probably some minor noble. Oh, you sweet, ignorant fools." Their mage, Solaris, stepped forward with the smuggest smile in the Northern Hemisphere and started name-dropping like a college freshman at a networking event. "We're the Frost Squad, under orders from the 7th prince. We're here to capture escaped slave criminals. Sorry for trespassing, but you know how it is, royal orders and all," he said, 7th prince, like it was a magic spell that would make everyone wet their pants and step aside. And honestly, in this part of the world, it usually worked. Richard's reputation was basically, cross me and die horribly. People heard his name and immediately found somewhere else to be. Unfortunately for Solaris, the one person in the entire northern border who gives exactly 0 craps about Richard was standing right in front of him. Me. I pointed at little Coco, bleeding and shaking in Isabella's arms. "She says they're not criminals. She says that fox girl in the net is actually a princess from the northern subhuman tribes. And you captured tribal royalty? Do you want to start a war?" Solaris didn't even flinch. Smooth operator. Oh, they're just escaped slaves. Check the brand on her arm if you don't believe us. Isabella checked. Coco had a slave brand burned into her right arm. Now, here's where I pulled out my favorite move. Political judo. You say they're slaves? Fine. They're on MY territory. That makes them MY slaves. You want to prove they belong to Richard? Go get a court order. Until then, these are MY property, on MY land, under MY jurisdiction. It's legal BS of the highest order, and I was loving every second of it. Coco looked terrified that I might actually hand them over. I turned and gave her my most reassuring smile. Don't worry. This is MY territory. I make the rules here. Her little dog ears perked up slightly. Hope is a powerful thing. Solara's was getting impatient. He dropped the polite act and went straight for the threat. You know the seventh prince's temper. Let's not make this unpleasant for both sides. He said it like a customer service agent with a knife behind his back. Very professional. Very menacing. Very stupid. Because then I did the thing. I straightened my spine. Let the princely aura roll off me like a wave. Looked him dead in the eyes and said, Does this prince need you to teach him what's legal? This prince. Bunwang. The magic words. In the Dawn Kingdom, only royalty can use that title. And in the northern border, exactly 2 people qualify. Richard and me. Every member of the Frost Squad froze simultaneously. You could practically hear 5 brains doing emergency calculations. Black hair, black eyes, royal bloodline markers, accompanied by Isabella Windsor, who would behead anyone impersonating royalty, using the royal self-address, on Winterfrost territory. Oh no, this wasn't some random minor noble. This was the 6th prince. The waste prince. The guy their boss was supposedly trying to. Wait, they didn't know about the assassination plot. Richard kept that secret from everyone except his inner circle. So to them, I was just the famously useless prince who somehow showed up in full armor, matched their strongest fighter blow for blow, and was now staring them down like a wolf looking at lunch. The cognitive dissonance was visible on their faces. The waste prince was supposed to be a joke, a punchline. Not this. Coco's eyes went wide. Nina, dangling in the net, stopped struggling and stared. I drew my iron sword. The blade sang through the cold air. You invaded MY territory without permission. You're trying to steal MY property. These subhumans are on MY land, making them mine. Full legal ownership claim. Was it ethically gross to call them my slaves? Absolutely. Did I mean it? Absolutely not. But in this medieval nightmare world, claiming ownership was the only legal framework that would protect them from Richard's goons. Sometimes you have to play the game to change the game. I slashed the air with my sword. The sound cracked through the forest like a whip. Leave. Now. Or find out exactly how useless this prince really is. 5 second-rank professionals. A team that once fought into a beast horde and killed a 3rd-rank monster. The most feared squad in the northern border. And they were hesitating. Because somewhere in the back of their professional soldier brains, a tiny voice was whispering. He just overpowered Bark in a strength contest. Isabella is right there. And he's a prince. Killing him means war with the entire kingdom. The math wasn't mathing for them anymore. And I was just getting started. Coco and Nina both had a brief panic moment when I called them my slaves. Coco's fur literally stood on end like a scared cat. Nina's fox ears went rigid. Yeah, I get it. You just escaped one psycho prince, and now another prince is claiming to own you. Not a great pattern. But Nina figured it out fast. Smart girl. She realized I was playing the legal game. Claiming ownership, so the Frost Squad had no grounds to take them. Can't steal someone's property from their own territory. Medieval law is garbage, but sometimes garbage works in your favor. The Frost Squad, meanwhile, was having the worst day of their professional lives. Their mage tried one last power play. You know the 7th prince's temper. Let's not make this unpleasant. I walked toward them. Slowly, 1 step at a time. Every step I took, their big scary warrior Bark took 1 step backward. This guy was the size of a vending machine with an axe, and he was retreating from a teenager. Does anyone have a problem with my decision? Dead silence. 5 second-rank professionals staring at the ground like scolded children. Nobody wanted to be the first one to make eye contact with the crazy prince holding a sword that cuts stone. No? Wonderful. I'd actually prepared my ender pearl in case they decided to get stupid. My plan was to pearl behind their backline and start chopping the squishy mage first. Classic PvP strategy. But they folded before I had to use it. Even better, I only had one pearl. Then, because I am physically incapable of not being dramatic, I stopped them as they were leaving. Oh, one more thing. Tell my dear little brother something for me. They froze. Their spines went visibly rigid. Tell him I know everything he's been doing. And I look forward to his next move. Because I'm going to show him why I'm the big brother, and he will always be the little brother. Bark. The massive warrior who probably bench presses horses was stuttering. Why yes, your highness. Will deliver the message. Now get lost. They bolted. 5 elite fighters, the terror of the northern border, running through the snow like kids who just got caught stealing cookies. Gone in seconds. My knights were looking at me like I'd just arm wrestled God. Isabella had this proud little smirk. That's my lord, expression. She'd turned down Richard's recruitment years ago because she wanted a better master, and right now she was feeling extremely vindicated about that career choice. With the Frost Squad gone, I turned back to my new guests, rescues, future allies. Nina, the Fox Princess, limped forward and gave me the most elegant bow I'd ever seen. Considering she was covered in dirt, her dress was ripped into makeshift pants, and her ankle was bleeding, the grace was honestly impressive. Thank you for saving us, kind sir. And then I actually looked at her properly for the first time. Oh no. She was stunning. Like, aggressively beautiful. Golden red eyes that literally seemed to glow. Silver white hair down to her waist. Fox ears with little tufts of fur that trembled when she breathed. A fluffy tail like fresh snow. Skin so pale it looked like moonlight given physical form. I've survived the internet. I've been through Instagram filters, Photoshop, and beauty apps. I've been immunized against manufactured beauty. Nina bypassed all of it. This was raw, unedited. God was showing off beauty. No wonder Richard risked an international war to kidnap her. He's a complete monster, but his taste is unfortunately impeccable. Focus, Li Wei. Focus. Little Coco dropped to one knee and tried to kiss my hand, then realized she was covered in blood and dirt and just bowed instead. The northern tribes will never forget your kindness. Time to test them. I put on my coldest face and looked down at them. What makes you think I won't actually keep you as slaves? Coco flinched so hard, she almost fell over. But Nina. Cool, collected Nina. Put her hand on Coco's shoulder and looked me dead in the eyes. You won't. Oh? How do you know? Foxkin bloodline power. I can read emotions through someone's eyes. She held my gaze without blinking. And in your eyes, I see zero desire to harm us. Well, that's a neat party trick. A living lie detector with fox ears. She was right, obviously, but I was more interested in what she'd just revealed, bloodline powers. Every race had inherited supernatural abilities. Fox people could read emotions. Dog people had enhanced loyalty and senses. This was a whole system of racial abilities I hadn't explored yet. And it hit me. If every race has a bloodline power, then what's mine? Is Steve's body essentially my bloodline power? Could I develop it further? Unlock deeper abilities? If Nina understood how bloodline powers worked, she could potentially help me discover things about my own system that I hadn't figured out yet. This Fox Princess wasn't just a rescue mission. She was a potential key to upgrading my entire build. I dropped the scary act and waved for them both to stand up. Relax. Tell me what happened to you. Nina exhaled, and her whole body softened. She smiled, warm, sweet, with just a hint of natural fox girl charm that was probably weaponized at birth. As you wish, kind sir. Her voice was so soft it could melt snow. Down, boy. She's a political asset. A research partner. An alliance opportunity. Nada? Okay, she's also incredibly beautiful, but that's irrelevant. I had a fox princess, a dog girl bodyguard, an ender pearl, and a message being delivered to my psycho brother that basically said, "Come at me, bro. Today was a great day." After Isabella patched up Nina's wounds, the fox princess told me her whole story. And honestly, it made me want to punch my brother even harder. The northern subhuman tribes had been allies with the northern border defenses for decades. Mutual protection deal. Humans and subhumans fighting monster waves together. Worked great for years. Beautiful cooperation. Then the Ender Dragon showed up and ruined everything. The Endermen literally disassembled the border walls block by block. Classic Enderman behavior. Those guys never stopped stealing blocks, and then teleported around the city massacring everyone. The defenses crumbled. Most of the border fell. Nina and her people got separated from the main force and fled south. They ran into Skywinter Knights and thought, "Oh, thank goodness, rescue." Wrong. Richard threw them all into a slave gladiator arena. Because of course he did. He tortured Nina's companions one by one right in front of her, but never touched her. And Nina, using her fox bloodline ability to read emotions, saw exactly why. He wanted to psychologically break her first, drive her insane with grief, and then turn her bones into decorative art. This kid is 17 different kinds of evil. He's not even efficiently evil. He's recreationally evil. He tortures people as a hobby. Isabella's eyes went dark when she heard this. She'd known about Richard's bonecraft hobby, but hearing it confirmed from a victim hit different. Nina's people eventually staged a prison break. 32 fighters sacrificed their lives to get her out. 32 people died, so one princess could run through the snow in a torn dress with a bleeding ankle. And Richard sent 5 elite killers to drag her back. For jewelry. Something didn't add up, though. I started thinking out loud. Wait, the northern border falls, monsters are pouring south, and Skywinter is the closest major city. Richard's territory is first in line to get overrun. Why isn't he sending reinforcements? Why is he capturing refugees instead of helping? More dead people means more benefit for Richard somehow. But how? I couldn't figure it out. Filed it under, "My brother is doing something insanely evil that I haven't uncovered yet," and moved on. That file was getting pretty thick. Anyway, I didn't come to this forest to rescue fox princesses. That was a bonus side quest. The main quest was still active. Find and deal with the second-rank magical beast that was terrorizing my lumberjacks. Wood is critical. Every Minecraft player knows this. You need wood for everything. Planks, sticks, tools, building materials, fuel. Wood is the foundation of civilization. And some overgrown monster was squatting in MY lumber forest, scaring MY workers, threatening MY with supply. Unacceptable. Isabella. She dropped to one knee so fast I almost missed it. This woman goes from standing to kneeling in like 0.2 seconds. It's actually impressive. Olympic-level genuflection. Have the knights spread out and search for the beast's trail. When they find it, do not engage. I want to fight it myself. I could feel it. I was so close to breaking through to first-rank swordsman. One more real fight. One more life-or-death clash. That's all I needed to push past the threshold. Nina spoke up quietly. "Perhaps we can help you find it." My eyes lit up. "Your bloodline power can sense magical beasts?" "No," she said with a small smile, then looked at Coco. Coco immediately dropped to all fours. Hands on the ground. Nose twitching. Ears rotating like satellite dishes scanning for signal. She was sniffing. Oh. She was being used as a tracker dog. The fox princess brought her own hunting hound. Except the hunting hound was also a person who could talk and had feelings. I looked at Nina. Nina looked at me with an expression that said, "Yes, I know how this looks, and yes, it works perfectly." After about 10 seconds of intense sniffing, Coco popped up and pointed deeper into the forest. "This way. I've got the scent." She trotted off into the snow, nose still twitching, ears still bouncing. I stood there processing what I'd just witnessed while my knights stared in equal confusion. Well, what are you waiting for? Follow the dog girl. Listen, I didn't make the rules of this world. Dog people have incredible noses. Fox people read emotions. Humans punch trees and craft armor from raw metal using a magic table. We all have our thing. Coco dropped into stealth mode like a trained special ops soldier. Half-crouching, silent footsteps, hand signals telling everyone to shut up. For a girl who was bleeding out 10 minutes ago, her professionalism was honestly impressive. We crept forward and there it was, a silver-white wolf, almost invisible against the snow. Ice blue eyes scanning the area. Massive, beautiful, absolutely would eat me if given the chance. Nina leaned so close to whisper that her fox ear literally tickled my face. Very distracting. Very informative. That's a snow wolf. Second-rank magical beast. Can breathe ice. Naturally resistant to frost magic. Usually travels in packs of 5. So where are the other 4? She's a mother. Recently gave birth. The others are hunting. She's guarding the pups. A new mom. Home alone. Protecting her babies. Now, a normal person would feel bad about fighting a new mother. And I did feel something. Just not what Nina expected. One postpartum wolf might not be enough of a challenge for me. Nina literally licked her lips in confusion. She'd expected me to hesitate out of compassion, and instead I was disappointed the fight might be too easy. Her mental image of me was recalibrating in real time. But 5 is too many, I continued, thinking out loud. My team couldn't handle 5 second-rank beasts. Isabella could take 2, I could take 1, but the remaining 2 would absolutely demolish my first-rank knights. The gap between ranks isn't a step, it's a cliff. Then Nina dropped some very interesting intel. Snow wolves are evil by nature, but if you raise them from pups, they become incredibly loyal mounts. Our tribe's wolf cavalry commander rides one. A second-rank hunter paired with a second-rank snow wolf can fight at near third-rank level. My brain went into full Minecraft planning mode. Wolves. In Minecraft, you tame wolves with bones. You breed them with meat. They grow up fast. What if those mechanics worked here? Feed the pups meat, accelerate growth, instant second-rank magical beasts. Feed adult wolves bones, tame them, loyal war wolves. Breed the tamed wolves, produce more pups, repeat. I could build a wolf army. A self-replicating, second-rank, rideable wolf military force. From puppies. This was the most exciting thought I'd had since discovering bone meal works on potatoes. Only problem, I didn't bring bones. Because why would I bring bones to a monster hunt? Note to self, always carry bones. You never know when you'll need to befriend a canine. But I did have a plan. A beautiful, devious, utterly Minecraft plan. Step 1. Dig a tunnel underground using my iron pickaxe. Go directly beneath the wolf den. Step 2. Pop up from below, wild and the puppies, drop back down. Step 3. Seal the tunnel, lure the mother wolf into the underground passage for a 1v1 fight in a confined space where she can't call for backup. Step 4. Beat the mother wolf, complete my first rank advancement, and return home with adorable stolen puppies. It's not stealing. These wolves are on MY territory. The pups are technically MY property. If anything, this mother wolf owes me rent. And puppy tax. I was also thinking ahead. I'd originally planned to build iron golems for town defense. Iron blocks plus a pumpkin on top. Instant bodyguard. Classic Minecraft home security. But there was one tiny problem. Winterfrost Town had 0 pumpkins. Not one. Nowhere in the entire northern border. Pumpkins were considered livestock feed, not real food, and when people are starving, nobody wastes farmland on gourd crops. Supply convoys from the south couldn't get through the snow. No pumpkins, no golems. My ultimate defense plan was defeated by a vegetable shortage. The most Minecraft problem I've ever had. So wolves it was. Plan B, biological weapons instead of mechanical ones. I leaned over to Isabella and whispered my entire scheme into her ear. The tunnel approach. The puppy heist. The underground 1v1. Everything. Her expression went from, absolutely not, to, when do we start, in about 10 seconds. The moment I mentioned she could have her own snow wolf mount, her eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. Knights and their dream of cool mounts. Some things are universal across all worlds. Let's do this, she whispered, practically vibrating with excitement. Time to execute Operation Puppy Heist. The mother wolf had absolutely no idea that 20 meters away, a Minecraft player was about to tunnel beneath her den, steal her children, and then challenge her to an underground cage match. Sorry, Mama Wolf. It's nothing personal. It's just Steve things. I pulled out my iron pickaxe and a torch from my inventory. Classic mining loadout. Been doing this since I was 12 years old on my computer, except now it's real. Isabella didn't even blink. She's immune to my inventory magic at this point. Nina and Coco, however, were not immune. Where did that pickaxe come from? And that torch? Magic storage bag, I said without blinking. The knights all went, oh, and looked jealous. Apparently magic storage bags cost hundreds of thousands of gold coins and require a third-rank alchemist to craft. A perfectly reasonable explanation that I completely made up. Nina's fox ears twitched skeptically. She was a mage herself, became first rank at 12, the overachiever, and she could sense magical energy. And she sensed 0 from my storage bag because it doesn't exist. She knew I was lying, but she was smart enough to keep it to herself. Smart fox. I like that. Now, Operation Puppy Heist. Phase 1 dig. I estimated the distance to the wolf den, aimed my pickaxe straight down, and started tunneling. From everyone's perspective above, I just sank into the earth, like the ground swallowed me. Smooth, silent, gone. Nina crawled to the edge and peeked down. How is he doing that? Coco's jaw dropped. He digs faster than me. Her dog pride was visibly wounded. A human out digging a dog person. Somewhere, a canine ancestor was rolling in its grave. Isabella just smiled smugly. The first time, smile. She'd been collecting those moments for days now. For blocks down, I hollowed out a small room, then called down. Isabella and Coco, jump in. Everyone else, stay up top. Isabella dropped in like a meteor. Coco hopped down gracefully. Then Nina insisted on coming too. My magic has recovered a bit. I can cast Fire Blade on your weapon. It'll add fire damage. Snow wolves are weak to fire. Fire enchantment on my sword? That's literally just the fire aspect enchantment from Minecraft. This world keeps accidentally recreating game mechanics, and I keep accidentally benefiting. Beautiful. Fine, come down. She jumped. Coco tried to catch her like a heroic bodyguard. But Coco's arms were still wrecked from fighting Bark earlier. And the moment she caught Nina, her legs buckled, and they both pitched forward. I caught them. One arm around Nina's waist, body blocking Coco's momentum. Smooth. Instinctive. Very anime protagonist of me. Nina looked up at my face from approximately 3 inches away. Her cheeks went pink. Fox ears went flat. Thank you. Just don't get yourselves killed after I went through all this trouble saving you. I set her down and immediately went back to digging, because feelings are complicated and tunnels are simple. I mined a straight horizontal tunnel toward the wolf den. 50 meters of solid rock, carved in minutes. Torches on both walls. Clean, lit, professional. When Nina and Coco finally caught up, they found a fully illuminated underground highway with floating dirt ceiling. Why? Why doesn't the dirt fall? Nina whispered. How did he dig this in 2 minutes? Coco added. They'd run out of shocked facial expressions. Their faces were just stuck on, buffering. When I reached the right spot, I called Coco over. Can you pinpoint the pups from down here? She sniffed. Ears rotated. Nose twitched. Right above us. Good girl. Literally. I jumped, placed a cobblestone block under my feet midair, and my head popped up through the ground into the wolf cave like a prairie dog. The most dignified entrance in military history. Nina and Coco watched a human being use a stone block as an elevator, and I think something in their brains actually broke this time. Inside the cave, 5 wolf pups were curled up together in a pile, little fluffy snowballs, sleeping peacefully, completely unaware that the world's sneakiest Minecraft player was about to commit grand theft puppy. I reached over, gently, carefully, picked up the first sleeping pup, lowered myself back down, handed it to Isabella, who placed it in Coco's cloth sling with surgical precision. Not a sound. Back up. Second pup. Down. Delivered. Third. Fourth. Fifth. 5 trips. 5 puppies. 0 barking. 0 detection. Flawless heist. Coco was now carrying 5 tiny snow wolves in a bundle and looking at them like she'd just been handed the world's most precious cargo. Nina was staring at them with literal stars in her eyes. Puppy heist. Complete. October 10th. Would steal babies again. Now for the fun part. Coco retreated down the tunnel with the goods. Nina cast Fire Blade on my iron sword. Her hands glowed. She traced her fingers along the blade, and orange-red fire energy wrapped around the metal. My sword was now a flaming sword. Fire aspect eye baby. The girls pulled back to safe distance. I stood beneath the hole into the cave, banged my sword hilt against the stone wall. Clang, clang, clang. Then dropped down and waited in the dark. Above me, I heard it. Rapid pause on snow. The mother wolf had come running. I could picture her bursting into the den, skidding to a stop, looking at her empty nest, then spotting the hole in the ground. Her babies sent leading straight down. A moment of confused wolf brain processing. Then, without hesitation, she jumped in. Right into my tunnel. Right where I wanted her. Welcome to the underground, Mama Wolf. This is my domain. Let's dance.